that got the suggestions in my YouTube feed going.
Did it for
But
the
I'm
flat
just saying,
Earth?
what's that?
For the flat Earth?
Yeah, this was before the censorship though.
Yeah.
But I wasn't convinced by what he was saying because he was mentioning things like laser tests and all that. And I'm like, oh yeah, they probably lied about it, right? So while I do agree with laser tests for like a normie or newbie to this, to him it could seem like, oh, they got to be lying about it, right? So you got to show more concrete things like long distance observations and like for me, what got me in was Jeranism debunking Red's rhetoric with both going over the curve, and not just that one visual demonstration alone was enough for me to question, go, huh, maybe this is not a joke after all. Maybe I should just dig a little bit deeper, and that's what got me in it. It was a visual thing. It wasn't how they were arguing because I wasn't even familiar with how to properly argue back then either, right? Many people aren't. So let's say when people watch something like Nathan Oakley, maybe they don't get the clear picture of what's going on.
Yeah, it's far too technical, isn't it? At times. It,
Exactly.
yeah. But I don't think the flat Earth debate is is a place for noobs, is it? I think you have to get
That's what.
triggered, like you said, you were triggered visually into the thought process. And
Yes,
everybody's different. Everybody has their own
that's
trigger.
true too.
So I think you need all sorts, don't you?
I agree. I agree. You make a good point. You're right. It's hard to tell what would grab that one person. You never can be sure.
Yeah. Everyone's an individual, right? So the different approaches, different takes. You've got to understand the person. I think. I don't think you could ever personally get to anybody without, like jogging a memory, or like some sort of. You always need that little bit of a link or something to just grab the thought process and get that going, because that's what it's about, isn't it? It's not about
Yeah,
what I want. Like I'm on my journey, you're on your journey, everybody's on their own journey. It's how you start the journey, and I'm guessing if you ever listen to anything like this, you're already on the journey, aren't you? Like you're never gonna come here and get somebody to start you on the journey. You're already here. Which where are you going with it?
yeah, you're right.
I like listening to people's stories and the way they come at it.
Me too.
Because finding everybody has their own story, don't you? The backstory of how they learnt it and all that.
Yeah, mine was Star Wars.
My
Star
missus
Wars.
can't let go of Star Trek. She has to watch it all the time, and my lad's watching it. And it's like it's torture because I don't watch TV apart from when we go and have a meal together, and she puts Star Trek on. It's like some sort of a
I only see it
punishment
when
or
I go to like a
something.
bar or something. I never watched TV since the '90s.
Yeah. I think that's one of the things that jogs you on the process. Like if you can step away from the TV and stop
Correct.
the influence of the media and all of that, then
Well,
that gives you
think
that
about
chance
it.
to think yourself, doesn't it?
Yeah, there's a lot of programming on television. Like even as a kid, I watched like the Bugs Bunny with Christopher Columbus and how they made fun of flat Earth, and they even made fun of flat Earth in Star Trek: Next Generation. And they always make it like the stupidest things. Like back then we were primitive, but now we know our stuff. So you're programmed like that. So right away when you hear flat Earth, like even me, when I first heard, I'm like, oh, you guys. I heard one guy talking about like concave Earth and everything, but as soon as he said flat Earth, I was like, oh, that's going too far, buddy.
Yeah, I think that's definitely programmed into you, isn't it?
Yes.
You get more chance to just think about it. But like I don't know, it's becoming more and more obvious to me. I mean, it was already obvious in the past, but now I'm being able to see the sort of games that are being played to keep it hidden on from the other side.
I think it's a slow release. I think we just gotta like just wait it out. I think they want that out.
It's got to come, hasn't it? But I mean, it's like how the majority of the people will react when they find out they've been lied to.
Well, that's why it's being a controlled release, so people don't, overreact or something. It'll just be like everybody will realize the Earth is flat. It's obvious. They'll just be like, whatever. It will be that kind of thing when we reach critical mass, I guess.
Oh, I don't think so. It's like, oh, we've just found out. We just found out it's flat, and oh yeah, we can't go to space.
Hey,
No.
what if it's been found out before, and this time we have the internet, and they know they can just easily just pretty much delete it.
Mm.
See, in the past, they could books. There's so many books written. It was hard for them just to get rid of that. I'm not saying it happened. This is total speculation, by the way. Um, but now with the internet, all they have to do is delete. Uh, if it's digital, they can get rid of most everything, or at least censor it so you can't access it. And then one generation and all fresh minds.
Hmm. Yeah, they could just be corralling all of us ones that are thinking like this, and then do away with us.
Well, let's look at the Kennedy JFK thing. Like back in the day, it probably wasn't as obvious, but now everybody's like, oh yeah, there's something suspicious there, and just everybody goes about their lives. I'm sorry, I wasn't paying attention. I was in a deep game. Did I interrupt anything?
Nope.
Okay, so my team in this online game were slacking. I had to like nervously pick up the pace. Anyways, what were you guys talking about?
Crazy speculation.
What's your speculation?
Oh, I was just saying that maybe the whole flat Earth thing. They were talking about how it's slowly coming out. I was just suggesting that maybe it has already come out in the past, and then they pretty much I
Buried
don't
it.
know.
Well, I
Yeah,
think.
I haven't fully thought this through yet.
Well, think. Let's go from that angle. If they can bury it, do you think? I mean, if they want to bury it, do you think they can bury it? That's the question.
Not completely. No, I wouldn't think they could. It's just scary how many people, even like you, someone was just saying the JFK thing. You're aware these things are happening, or you're aware the government's totally not being honest, but you still go on about.
Well, yeah, that's also I guess controlled release works in a sense. I guess they know this. I think they're aware of it. So in a sense, we don't have to worry about like convincing everybody right away. We just have to be patient.
Yeah, I don't think there's any big campaign or anything going on at the minute. I think most of us are just passing the time coming here.
I just like being around, I guess, like the woke people in a sense. Like it feels like other conversations are more meaningless now. It's like, oh, you don't know this, and that. Then it's like, oh, you're so behind, you know. Like I'm trying to get one of my friends caught up, and like, it's frustrating. He doesn't want to take it serious fast enough because I'm not too much into this. Like, I don't know, normie conversations in a sense now.
Yeah, well, we're living on different worlds, you know.
Yeah,
it does make it hard. At least mentally. Yeah, I don't know what it's going to take to crack a bit more into the mainstream, but I have to think it's going to do so. I already think it's gaining traction. I mean, just the mainstream narrative alone and the changes that have occurred in it over the past few years because of the debates that have been taking place in these communities is pretty shocking.
I've noticed the willingness for people to like talk about it now. You know, the willing to like listen and take it on a bit more than they used to. They used to just sort of hand wave, dismiss, like I don't want to hear that.
Yeah,
but it's a lot easier for them to be involved in a conversation now.
The inroads to flat Earth are getting way more varied. I mean, just the things like Epstein and that document that Meme posted yesterday on the Finders. The more people find out about the truly insane corruption that's been going on, the more they're willing to question the narrative that's given to them. And it's only going in that direction right now. So I think that's going to spread out. That's going to capture a few people who say, listen, I'm taking on board a whole lot of out there material right now, so I'm going to have a look, an honest look. And I think that will show in the time to come.
Yeah, there's an old lady round here that's sort of a bit too old for me to go fully into it or anything. But I mean, she's seeing what's going on with the Brexit, and you know, like she's fearful from watching the TV. You know, like she's scared. And I have to tell her, you know, like, don't just stop worrying about it. You know, they're just fearing you through the TV. Because, like, I think she must have obviously voted for Brexit. And then, but, you know, like, the BBC are just sort of pushing the, you know, anti-Brexit, you know, all of this sort of stuff. And she's pretty old. And she's saying, well, I can't imagine what my grandmother would think, you know, if she was to come around today. And that's quite sad to hear that, you know, when old people say that sort of thing to you. You know that the world, or, you know, everything's changing for a not good reason.
Yeah, media propaganda has taken such a dark turn in the last decade, but last 5 years, I'd say especially.
Yeah.
It's just so intense.
There's a lot of people realising that, or if they don't realise it, you're never going to get through to them because they've got control over the people, haven't they?
Yeah. I mean, the older generations, it's been almost more difficult to reach them because they've been so dependent on like a radio or some televised news for the majority of their lives. But younger kids who are already familiar with alternative media and stuff, they're ready to break away, I would say, for the most part.
Yeah, like my son is more of a gamer, you know, Asperger's, but he hasn't really got any. He's not watched any of the TV other than like Star Trek and stuff like that he's watched with his mum. So he's not really been involved in it. Because one of the questions I can remember asking him was like, "What have you ever been taught about the globe at school?" And he went, "Nothing." He's got a really short memory, but I mean, like he had nothing that he could recall on what he'd ever been taught about it.
I don't think they are really taught
No.
in a kind of geographic sense much about it, other than this is what it is. It's a ball. I don't even know if they really get into the solar system until secondary school. So when they're like 14, 12, 13, 14 maybe. But there's definitely a globe at all times, just kind of sitting in the background, and TV does the majority of it for them, right? Before they even get to school.
Yeah,
the imagery is cemented in their mind.
What does it? And, it reinforces it as well. The TV does, I'd say 99.9% of the model.
Yeah. I mean, the TV and the media has your child's brain for the majority of the time that it's not at school. And then when it's at school, it's at school.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's difficult for the parents to really have their imprint nowadays, which is nuts.
Yeah, especially as though they're being taught. Like, I can remember when my youngest lad was going to school, and I tried to teach him some maths, right? And he went back to school, and the teacher at school said to him, "Oh, we don't do it like that anymore." Right? So that then meant to him that anything I taught him was like, that it's no good because we don't do it like that anymore. So, like your parents are done.
Right. they break away even your ability to pass down knowledge, like on that basic level.
Yeah.
Yeah, maths is strange. They do it all differently now. Fucking ridiculous shit.
Yeah.
That's insane. So they program the kid so the kid doesn't trust you anymore.
Yeah.
Because he comes to school and he thinks you screwed him over with. Now he's like embarrassed because he did math wrong or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, learning to trust the school over your parent at an early age is a good way to prepare you for trusting state over your friends and family in a later stage.
Your dad taught you old maths.
Right, ridicule.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mind control. Man, they are seriously meticulous. Changing the way you do math to destroy trust. It's very clever.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know whether it was like a division or something, but I mean, they do maths much differently now, and I always remember when I was we had to go into the school or something at some point to go and meet the teacher, and the teacher then explained what they were doing, and this sort of thing came around, and the whole process of actually doing this stuff just seemed backwards to me. It made it more confusing.
Yeah.
In the learning process, which
it takes simple logic out of it.
Yeah.
Well, it takes logic out of it. So you get to a point when we do maths, I'm saying we do maths great, but it's easy to conceptualise and do it in your head. Now, the way the kids are learning these days, and I know, backwards, it's wrong. You have to... I don't understand where half the numbers come from. Weird.
Yeah.
You have to go past the number, then come back to it.
Is it the Chinese or whatever that get taught with the fingers and
the abacus?
No, they get taught on the fingers. Have you never seen them? Like they're like geniuses. But when you watch them somebody ask them a question, the fingers just point to the little digits. Like, like your thumb. You've got your thumb and your finger, and it all breaks down into different bits and on the fingers, and they just do that. It's like a calculator. But you know, they obviously get taught how to do that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Kids don't. I always said it. The best thing would be if I was in charge of the thing. The first lesson would be how to remember things. That would be the first lesson I would teach people. How to set up a memory system. Then you can always remember things that you want to remember. And then I'd teach them how to think about for themselves.
Yeah.
Seems like that's what a lot of it is. Most of it. And then it's controversial.
You're a robot in a bit, man.
He seems fine on my end.
That could be mine.
Yeah, it sounded bad here.
Dr. Q still sitting in the chat. What's going on with that guy?
Well, you passed
Said he
out.
had a YouTube channel or something. Glober's got to step it up.
Big time.
You guys are gonna laugh. I posted a video that had me dying. Common Core versus regular classic math and shit. The guy did. They both do the problem, but the guy doing the classic math like sits there and does it in like 30 seconds and then makes coffee. The other lady's still doing the problem. And that's the new math. That's the worst part. It's the new math. It's kind of funny. Watch it if you want.
The chocolate, you have the link to it.
Yeah, I just put it in live stream one. It's called New Math versus Old Math.
There was a guy, programmer, Jerry Davis, and he argued that they pretty much did that same thing. They obfuscated and made it more complicated in programming, like with C++ and Python and all this stuff, to where like
Oh.
it's kind of like that. Like there's a lot of easier ways to do it, but someone made it more complicated on purpose to slow everybody down.
Right. But the worst part is like if you don't include all. I mean, I don't know. I don't have a kid that's in school learning this, but I have friends that have kids in school learning this, and they'll tell me like if they don't work out the entire problem the way they want it, even if they've got the answer right, they mark it wrong.
Isn't
Even
it
on
terrible?
tests. That's when the first time I was told that, I was like, yeah, that's just crazy. But after I started hearing it again and again, I'm like, wow, that's unreal. That's
Yeah.
unreal.
I don't know what I would do if I had kids because I wouldn't want them in school. I would want to
Oh,
homeschool
yeah.
them, but I don't have
Yeah,
the resources for
I
that.
would be a problem right now if I had kids. I don't know
Yeah.
what the hell, because my mind can't even comprehend my kid in one of these places now. You know?
And
I'd
the
probably
answer is
move to
homeschool 'em,
international.
but move to international
Right.
waters, yeah. But there's no. It's hard to avoid it. Yeah. It's just getting worse. And they could mess up something as fundamental as math.
Okay, that video is ridiculous, Chocolate.
I know. That's why I posted.
That's real though.
Yeah, I know. My daughters started coming back with it, and I literally look at it and go, what the hell?
Yeah.
I can't work it out.
Yeah, and then if you try and teach your kids the way your maths, and then they go back to school and say, look, I did this, it's loads easier. They'll go, no, we don't do it like that anymore.
I know. Weird.
With no
Wrong.
justification.
E-
Yeah.
Even if the answer's
Yeah.
See that shit? So you can't even use your own way to get to the correct answer. You have to use their way.
Yeah, because you've always got to show you're working to actually get the mark.
Yep.
And if it's not the
And
correct way of working, don't get it.
they'll mark it wrong,
School-
even if you've got the
yeah.
answer right. That's
Yeah.
insane.
It's all about shaming the kid into a certain belief system, imposed ignorant, making them dumb and making them ashamed if they do it a better way.
Yeah, I think it's so the kids come out at the end and going, "Oh, I'm no good at maths. Don't like I'll leave that to somebody else." It's just too confusing for me. It's it's just not for me. When it should be really simple. I think base 10 did it as well. I think he should have kept it at base 12, maybe 16.
I've heard stuff like that. Are you sure? Like, base 10 isn't that hard.
Yeah, sounds easy, but I don't know.
I haven't looked into it that deeply, but
if I was doing joinery or any work or anything, I had a tape measure, I would always work in inches. Feet, inches, much easier to deal with rather than a big string of numbers. And you know what the meter is as well, don't you?
The meter?
Yeah.
What do you mean? Like in music?
Yeah, no, you know where the meter came from.
What meter?
The history of the meter, the measurement,
The measure system.
meter, 100 centimeters.
Oh, sorry.
1 meter.
Metric. What about it?
It's a spherical measurement, isn't it?
Is
Like, yeah. Like, if you think about the last one, the feet and miles and all that. Well, a mile was like a measurement of 1,000 steps. We did this the other day. I learnt this here, right here. So a mile's 1,000 steps, so that would be one pace of that 1 foot moves. As an entire step. So 1,000 of them would have been a mile. But that's like a physical measurement.
All right.
You can sort of base and relate. Well, that was no good, so they needed a different one. So they decided to make a model of something and come up with some numbers, and then say from the pole to the equator around this spherical object would be 60,000 of these meters, I think. So that's how a meter comes around. So anytime you use the term meter, kilometer, centimeter, you're referring to a measurement of a spherical model. History of the meter. Here you go.
So 1,000 steps is a mile.
Well,
You mean
it
on
was,
average?
but I mean, like every country seemed to have their own versions. Some were bigger and some were smaller.
Huh.
Well, 10,000 kilometers from a presupposed equator to center pole. And then if you look into the history of the mile, the actual mile never got recorded until 1959. It became an international agreement when they decided it would be 1,609.344 meters. So they had to relate the mile to a distance of meters, and they only did that in 1959.
That's crazy. 'Cause I never even heard of the conversion from miles to meters. I only know it. It's feet. I don't know if that's because I'm in America and I don't use the meter system, metric system that much,
But like
that's the first time I've even
would
heard
probably be
of
measured
it.
as the meter, wouldn't it? The 1,609.33 meters. Because like if you go through the history of the mile, I don't know whether there is an American. I bet there isn't. In it, Welsh, Scots, Irish, German, Dutch, Saxon, Hungarian, Portuguese, Russian, Croatian, Ottoman. The international mile is a measurement in kilometers, 1.69 kilometers.
Huh.
Oh no, yeah, wait a minute. US survey mile, yeah, that's it. 5,280 feet, or about 1.609 meters. They want meters in there.
I don't know. I found miles, feet, inches, just a lot simpler. But that might be because I've grown up with that,
I think it's something to do with dividing the number up with another wordy thing. Because I don't think like meters and centimeters don't seem to work like feet and inches do they?
Well, I don't think it's exact, right? Like 3 meters, I think or a meter is 3 feet, but like it's 3 point something, right? It's not exact, right? I don't know. Math is probably my worst subject, so.
No, but I mean, like if you was doing.
But I'm learning right now because I didn't really hear about the history of the meter and all that. I never really.
If you was doing a measurement, you'd go like, well, that's about 3'8", wouldn't you? Or 3'8" and 3/4 or something, So you're breaking it up into little bits that gradually getting smaller and smaller. But if you was to do that with the metric system, it'd be 100 and something point something. Like it's just a string of numbers, isn't it? The metric system, whereas the imperial system
is more organic and based on.
Here's something about the curvature, so-called curvature formula, right? The one that is derived from the Pythagorean theorem that goes 8 inches every mile squared, okay? So let's try something. Let's try the same with kilometers and centimeters and say that your eye height is at 0 and your target is 1 kilometer away, not 1 mile, but it's 1 kilometer away. Then the expected drop because of curvature will be 7.8 centimeters. Okay, so that's 2 millimeters short of 8 centimeters in the first kilometer. Okay, like you have 8 inches on the first mile. You're gonna have 8 centimeters on the first kilometer. Now let's check what happens on the second kilometer. Okay, so again, eye height is at 0 meters, and then the target is at 2 kilometers, not 2 miles, but 2 kilometers. Okay, so we form our triangle, and then we get the horizon distance is of course 0 because the eye height is 0. but the expected drop, or the so-called target hidden height, that part of the side of the triangle that we're calculating, right? Not all of it, but part of it, is going to be at 0.31 meters. So that would be about 31 centimeters, right? In 4-digit accuracy, it would be 314 millimeters, right?
Tap dances. One second, brother. Ridley Chozo, you got some clicking going on, brother.
That's not me clicking, but I can mute myself.
It's not you. Could be righteous.
Yeah, it's me. Sorry, I'm playing a game. On mute.
Yeah, no problem. Bro. Sorry, tap dances. Go ahead, man.
No, not at all. So target hidden height with 4-digit accuracy in meters is 0.3139. Okay, that's almost 314. So that's short of 32 centimeters. It's more than 31 centimeters. It's less than 32 centimeters, and it's closer to 31 centimeters. Okay? So if you try 8 times kilometers squared, okay, if you just try that 8 centimeters per kilometer squared, and you plug in 2 kilometers, then you will get 8 times 2 squared, that's 4. So 8 times 4, that's 32, okay? Let's try 3 kilometers and form our triangle with eye height of 0, target distance of 3, and then we calculate that, and that would be a little bit short of 71 centimeters. And if we use the like an 8 centimeter per kilometer squared approximation, then we would have 3 kilometers squared, that's 9, okay? And 8 times 9, that's 72. So we're a little bit shy on 72, but it's at the same ballpark. Okay, let's try even bigger numbers. Let's try 50 kilometers, as in 50. Right? So that would be that gives a target hidden height of 196 meters. That's 196. That's roughly 200 meters. So that's in feet. That would be something like 600 feet. Okay. And 50 kilometers now, that in miles would be something, I think, like around 30 something perhaps. I'm not exactly sure, but let's see the ballpark here. So if we plug that into an 8 centimeter times kilometer squared, then we need to square number 50. Okay, and squaring number 50, that's like squaring 5 and then keeping the 2 zeros, so that's 2,500 is the number you get. And if you multiply this by 8, then that will be 20,000. Is that right? Yeah. So that's 20,000. 20,000 what? 20,000 centimeters. Okay. So we strike 2 zeros of those to 20,000 centimeters, and we get the amount of meters, and it's 200. So it looks like the 8 inches per mile squared that is expected for a ball, the dimensions that are advertised, in Wikipedia and whatever, mainstream, all that, also works with centimeters and kilometers. So 8 centimeters per kilometer squared is also a good approximation. Okay, so that's what I have. Sorry for
a good approximation of the model.
Of course, yes. Yeah, of course, a good approximation of the so-called geometric drop behind an assumed physical edge, horizon, which is the leading edge of a space ball Earth that some fantasize they live on. or are simply convinced, or never bother to look. To be honest, I mean, who knows? Some just believe it because nobody ever, they never considered it could be otherwise. So I'm not presupposing anything there, but all that comes from geometry, yes. So if you assume a ball, then you apply the Pythagorean theorem on it, and there's going to be the side of or the fraction of the side that you are looking for. That would be the so-called drop or hidden height below the tangent that you will have to accept as a level, and the rest is simply just geometry. You will try to craft a triangle or that there are 3 points. One point will be where you are, a line connecting your position with the assumed top of the object on the ball. That would be the other point, and the third point would be the center of the presupposed spherical Earth. So that's the triangle that you apply trigonometry to.
Emma, do you remember the guy that was playing the Windows sound very, very loudly? Well, I went on to the 24/7 stream and I found out the culprit. And yeah, my contribution. But that guy was trying to damage people's hearing. If it wasn't for my sensitivity...
Who was it?
A guy... I can't recall. I'll search for it in a moment. You know, if it wasn't for limiting the volume that comes through my headphones, it could have very well damaged my hearing. Let me see who it was. Let me
What's
think.
up with your stuff now? Does he sound weird to everybody else, or is that just me?
I was going to say, Chris, your mic's damaging my hearing.
Yeah, I'm actually waiting on a mic to arrive,
That
so I'm using... Hold on,
awful.
Yeah.
Is it right?
Yeah, you sounding like Max Headroom right now.
Strange that you came in about
crazy.
talking about people getting hurt by hearing something really weird. It was bad, that. I'm going to go and make a brew.
Well, so I'm waiting on my mic and I'm having to use my phone. So basically I've got this app called WO Mic and it turns your Android into a microphone. I mean, I'm still audible, right?
Yes, you're audible.
Cool. Yeah, so that was the guy that I posted. I put his name in the chat.
It wasn't even in the room.
No, yeah, maybe I should take it out the box. Well, I mean, the self-test seems okay. Let me reconnect the Bluetooth.
You're just buzzing. And whoever that name is that you posted was not even in the room at the time, so I have no clue.
Okay, that should be slightly better now.
Sounds a bit better.
Is that you, Jedi?
It is. Maybe, mate.
Oh, are you a Sith Lord now?
I'm just for this evening. Well, for Halloween anyway. If I get bored.
Oh yeah, I mean the Sith are much more. Sith are much better than the Jedi because the Sith are evil and they love it. So you have to admire that.
That's true. I had to go to the dark side earlier today, so I thought I'd change my name.
Oh,
Yeah, it's Discord. What happens sometimes.
yeah. I mean, I don't really, I don't do the whole Halloween thing. I know the Americans are obsessed with it, and it's sort of, coming over here now.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I don't think it's ever going to be as popular over here as it is in the States, but it's definitely a thing.
So I wanted to talk about conspiracy tonight.
Okay, what in particular? The Flat Earth one?
Yeah. So, right, let's say, for example, right, so I know flat earthers say 500 years, and just for the sake of the argument, we'll go with 500 years. So 500 years ago, some people got together, and they knew the earth was flat, but they decided, you know what, guys? We're going to tell everyone the earth is a globe. And why would they do this?
Oh, sorry. Was that going somewhere?
I'll go somewhere, but
why would they lie?
Why would they do that?
All right, so let's try and disseminate this kind of question. So, for example, the Earth's flat, and we want to what? What do we gain out of changing the shape of the Earth?
Yes.
Yeah. So, what do we gain from changing the shape of the Earth? If the Earth is flat, I mean, how was it created if it was flat? And if it's ball, how is it created if it's a ball?
Okay. I mean, I don't think that if it's a sphere, a globe, that necessarily precludes a creator. I mean, if a creator wants to create a planet, a place for people to live, humans, then he could just as easily create a globe.
Of course, it's not limited. But this is the choice. This is what comes around when you get put on a ball. Because if you've got a flat Earth, and you understand, flat, stationary, contained, dynamic environments, something that is created primarily comes from a created source. And then you chuck a ball in there and add into this ball a new creation story that started 17 point however million years ago from nothing. And it created itself. Then you've removed the necessary antecedent for a created thing, the creator. So the ontological primitive comes around because you get a new creation story. You're not going to give a new creation story of a flat Earth because that's obviously created, right? So ball.
But the problem with that, right? The problem with that is that 500 years ago, like the vast majority of people believed in a creator. They also believed that and young Earth creation as well. Like, I mean, even when Copernicus and Galileo came along, I mean, they were devout, they weren't atheists or anything. So they wouldn't have argued that the Earth was created 6,000 years ago. So now fast forward to fast forward a couple hundred years, right? So like, I don't know, 1700s, 18th century. And, they still have to keep up this lie, but we still have very devout majority of people, monarchs and popes and everyone's still quite religious.
Compulsory schooling introduced?
Sorry?
When was compulsory schooling introduced? When were children starting to get educated?
Compulsory schooling? I don't know. Why was it introduced?
Why was it introduced?
I suspect, and I don't know when compulsory schooling was introduced. I don't think it was that long ago, but so children could get an education. Right. So basically, where I'm going with this is, so now we have to maintain the globe lie, the global conspiracy, right? We have to bring in a lot of people. We have to, update the monarchs. We have to update the emperors. We have to get everyone to stay silent. We have to, get the Catholic Church, and then later on the Reformation.
Get the Catholic Church to do what?
Get the Catholic Church on side. Get the Anglicans.
Hold on. Those are the people that gave us it. Don't have to get them on side. They're the people that gave us the heliocentric model. They were the people that gave us the Big Bang Theory. The majority of all astronomers back in the day were Roman Catholic priests. They're in the majority of things that looked up in the sky. telescopes, right? Still do today.
But we're not there yet, right? We're 18,
Will be.
right? Couple hundred years after.
Because you want to know who they are, and you've already said the answer.
Right. That's great. That fits my story here. So like I'm only talking a couple hundred years after a lot of flat earthers claim that the globe conspiracy was conceived. So like, but popes die and new popes are elected. And they have to be on board. All the cardinals have to be on board. All the kings, all the emperors still have to be on board. And that has to continue.
Because those are the people that have always run society, kings and priests. Yeah. So the kings and priests are all on board because they're always ruling the people.
Right.
So the people that are ruling the people are all on board. Yep. With you.
Right. So then fast forward to when technology becomes more advanced, say Second World War, right? And now we have a massive global total war. And we have lots of people, lots of soldiers and pilots flying planes, lots of ships at sea, lots of artillery, so all these pilots in World War II, you don't think they would have noticed that the Earth was flat?
Well, yeah, they did when the RAF cottoned onto the nickel bomb technology that the Germans were using to bomb Birmingham. Yeah.
Right.
They didn't believe the technology would exist, but we don't want to get too deep into these stories, do we? We just want to skirt through it. Missed out a couple of key dates: 1929, 1931.
Right. Let's
invention of the Big Bang, but let's go with you.
Right. Let's say some pilots did cotton on. Right. They did discover it. Why didn't they speak out?
You're working for the fucking military. Do you go around telling everybody whilst you're working in the military what the fuck you are doing when you are working for the military? Or have you got? Are you swear a special? No, you don't go around telling everybody when you're working for the fucking military.
You don't. But see, when you're retired,
hey, listen,
and you're on your deathbed,
hey, listen,
that's when you do it.
Maybe they do.
Hitler.
What, they can be on the news? Man on deathbed. Admits Earth is flat.
I'd like to see that. I would love
it. Hold on. You think that the media that is owned by no more than 6 corporations globally, and I say globally for a reason, because it's funny, so no more than 6 corporations own the media throughout the world, and you think that these controlled organisations are going to let what they don't want you to know onto their TV screens for everyone to mad?
No, I don't. Right, but this is what I do believe. Now these these retired pilots that were in World War II, that they're starting to die about now, right, or in the last 10, 15 years. A lot of them are, right, in their old age, right. Now we have the internet, and a pilot, an RAF pilot or a US pilot, wants to tell everyone that the Earth is flat. What do? They go on to Google and they say, what's
You're coming up with a story that would fit your idea of what you want to happen.
Just let me go here. So then they Google flat Earth, right, and they find that there's a lot of people on YouTube that believe the Earth is flat. And not only that, they're doing shows. So what do? They contact these people like Jism or even Nathan Oakley, and they go, I want to tell my story, right? But they don't, because that's not happened yet.
Yeah, there's been plenty of people who've come forward from different industries.
Really?
Yeah, military and so
on. The Second World War was 70 odd years ago. Yeah.
Okay.
We're talking specifically on the Second World War.
Yeah, do you think that everyone all of a sudden started believing that the Earth was a ball, or do you think it was slowly introduced with education system? I'm glad that you pointed out the Second World War, because that is a bit of a linchpin. Because up until 1957, the Russians weren't convinced that the Earth was a ball. They still referred to it as a flat plane. That's the Russians. Remember these people that were going up to space in a bit?
Hey, Chris.
So not everybody knew that the Earth was a ball. Up until 1927, it was just an idea. No one could confirm it until I went to space.
Real quick, and then someone else wants to, ask me something. So let's say Nazi Germany obviously were in on the conspiracy. They knew the Earth was flat, right? So the Nazi Germany are on their knees, right? The Russians are closing in, the British are closing in. Why didn't they say, look, guys, if you don't back off, we are going to spill the beans and tell everyone the Earth is flat. Japan as well, you know.
I
they were
don't know, because you've probably got an idea of people being on different sides, especially when they're very, very high up. But ultimately, if you look into who set up, I don't know, organisations like NASA, Wernher von Braun, for example, German scientists come over at the end of the Second World War through Operation Paperclip to help the science of America. That's what over 3,000 scientists do after they finish splitting them up between America and Russia, and whoever else got a couple more, UK included, but we definitely didn't get what the Americans and Russians got. So the Nazi Germans actually set up NASA. You can go and find this out for yourself. It's literally on his gravestone, poor bugger.
Right, but that's not what I said. I'm saying
You said Nazi Germany. I'm pointing out that that's exactly who set up NASA.
Right, but that's not what I'm saying, Jedi. Like, this is what I'm saying. I'm saying Nazi Germany are on their knees, right? Japan are on their knees. They have to surrender, right? They're going to be defeated. Why didn't they say, look, you know, if you don't back off, allies, if you do not back off, we are going to spill the beans. We're going to tell everyone the Earth is flat and that you have been lying to the people for centuries. That didn't happen. Why not?
But at the end of the Second World War, it still wasn't a known fact that the Earth was a ball. It was just proclaimed. Not everybody believed it, as I'm trying to point you towards.
But that's even more reason for Nazi Germany to threaten to spill the beans for the Allies to back.
Do you actually really think that these different sides that were funded by the same people were on different sides, even though they're funded by the same?
I first of all, I don't accept it that both sides were funded by the same people, and even if they were, the German people, the Nazis, were on the brink of defeat. Right, like I said, the Allies were closing in, Russia from the east, America and Britain from the west. Right, they were closing in.
The people that they gave guns to, those were the people that were dying. Everybody else, you know, with their nice hats on and whatnot, were all back safe in the bunkers, 500 miles behind enemy lines. What are you talking about?
Well, those are the guys that should have threatened to spill the beans.
What, the people in the trenches fighting for their lives?
No, the generals.
The aristocracy sort of all working together, making people fight for each other. Do you know what the Hegelian dialectic is?
Vaguely, but I couldn't, you know, tell you right now off the top of my head. But again, that's not my point, right? So that's not my point, right? So, like I said,
that was Jedi's point, though.
Right, but what I'm saying is, right, Japan. So Japan as well. They're they're involved in this aristocracy, European aristocracy.
I don't know.
Right. Okay. So Japan are about, you know, they've been bombed, they've been nuked twice, and they're going to surrender. But why didn't they say, you know what, America, if you do not back off, we're going to tell everyone the Earth is flat.
Okay. Well, we'll just drop another bomb on your cities. This time we'll make sure it's on you lot, because the rest of the time the two cities that we hit, we just hit civilians.
Oh yeah, so that'll totally work. That'll totally work. Okay, right. Fast forward to modern technology to today, where they have to. They're launching weather satellites, right? Weather satellites like Himawari, like Russia.
I like Himawari. That's interesting. Would you mind if we spoke about that?
Sure, but just let me get this out first. So, sure. Right. So Japan's Himawari, Russia's Electro-L, right? I'm not going to mention Epic because it's NASA and you guys have an aversion to NASA, right?
No, any space agency. It doesn't matter which one it is, they're all affiliated, but you're going to say that they're separate.
That's fine. Right. So now these satellites are offering images of the globe, right? Himawari, the entire Asia Pacific region, Electro-L, basically all of Russia and you know the rest of the what it covers, right, down to Africa and whatnot. They have to produce one every 10 minutes, right?
Yeah,
but they're not obliged to do that. They don't have to produce one every 10 minutes. They can produce one every day or every week or one a month. But now they've decided to give themselves so much work that will never end that they don't have to give themselves.
Right, dude, back up. Really, really cool. So I agree with you, the premise of what they say that they do. really far away, it can take a picture of the entire, 50% of the Earth's surface. Yeah, that's what it does.
Very
Up to
much.
date every 10 minutes, and you get the up-to-date weather patterns, right?
Yep.
So what you're not having is lots of people running around in offices. What you do have is lots of computer programs. What you do have is you've got two computer programs. One is the Mercator projection onto a ball. The other is timed weather information, minute by minute as it happens. Now, the weather has been, observed, measured, radar, balloons, weather balloons, all of these types of things from the Earth. You don't necessarily have to be so far away to map weather. So what you've literally got is you've got the ability to make a computer program, which is exactly what they do. When you look at where they get their images from, and you look at their JPEG files, all of the weather data images comes from the floor, ground-based stuff, not from up there. So what you've got is you've got a model, a Mercator projection, which has been used since 1927. You find that on the Universal logo, Universal Pictures, right? So it's exactly the same thing. Nothing's ever changed. All they can do is now put weather on it, but all the weather comes from ground-based stuff or Earth-based stuff, stuff that's in the atmosphere. So to wrap and map weather onto a ball in real time, you should get an image of every 10 minutes. People aren't running around with rubbers and pencils and rulers, mate. It's all done by computer. Click the button, there you are.
Right. So let me put this to you, right? I'm going to say to you that possibly, technically, this may be feasible. However, in order to do this, they have to launch and maintain. I put it to you, thousands of weather balloons, right? They have to gather the data very, very quickly for the cloud, right? Let me go.
It's all gathered in real time, isn't it?
Right. But so how do these weather radar that pick up the clouds? How
so
do
you've got lots of in Great Britain. Yeah, we've got the Met Office now. Every single Met Office up and down cities and towns throughout the country has got a weather station. Got weather stations on the coast. You've got buoys out to sea. You've got balloons up. Now that's just one country. Now pretty much every country does have that. And they've got central, databases. So they all collaborate. Everyone knows what the weather is. Put it into a system. 10 minutes later, there you have wrapped around a ball projection map.
Right. But don't you think that 10 minutes is very short?
It's a computer, mate. They can do
very short window.
They can do things really, really fast with D-Wave computers.
Right, but let me finish. Right? Do you not think that giving themselves 10 minutes is a very short window of time for them to get all this super? Come on, Jed.
I think that what they can do is they can get this imaging done pretty fast. And they say that they can get it done in about 10 minutes. It might take about 5, could be 7.5. I don't know. But ultimately, what you would have to do to repeat and verify this shit is go there and you can't, because you can't go to space. They are giving you images which they could easily computer model. The technology is here. We use it every day. We've been having weather reports for years.
Right.
So that's all they're doing. Just
how do they use these ground-based radar and weather balloons to detect floods and forest fires?
You've got cameras, you've got high altitude balloons, you've got things. We have. No one is denying that there are things in the sky, right? But they can be balloons, they can be solar power drones, they could be, aircraft, spy planes, things that fly at high altitude.
Do you realise how much work that would take?
No. Not much.
I mean, that's
like, do you think one airport is supplying this, or do you think it is done because you've got lots of space agencies around the world, and weather stations around the world, and lots of eyes in the sky all the time?
Right. So you've got a lot of Let me grant you, we've got a lot of weather balloons up there. We've got a lot of aircraft up there. They're all taking pictures. But do you think that they're taking pictures every 10 minutes? Of floods and forest fires, and these balloons are immune to wind?
No, but the main balloons travel around in the jet streams, of which there are majorly 4.
Right. I mean, have you never seen the Wade's Underworld Himawari 8 weather comparison, where the Himawari 8 shows not only the type of cloud, but the cloud pattern? I do not believe that weather radar can detect those clouds to that degree of accuracy. I don't accept it.
But you can accept technology that goes out into a vacuum. It can turn around and take pictures from millions of miles away.
I'm afraid I have to disagree.
Well, that you can accept that you can't accept ground-based technology that does all this stuff.
I can accept ground-based technology, but what I can't accept is that they would give themselves this amount of work when they simply do not have to.
I mean, if that's your only kind of gripe, then yeah.
Well, it's a major gripe.
Well, yeah, but if it's just kind of, well, it's 10 minutes. I mean, that's really, really fast, isn't it? I don't know how they could get it done. And that's usually you going, well, I don't know how they could get it done. But it's there, 10 minutes. This is what they say, the real time, right? And what have we got? Real time technology that uploads in an instant, and you think that that isn't possible.
No, what I don't think is possible is that these weather balloons and the aircraft all have the same cameras, right? That pick up the same wavelengths and that have a resolution of 11,000 by 11,000 pixels. That is something I cannot accept.
It's a computer screen.
Right, but do you know how long it takes Pixar to render one frame of 1080p?
To be perfectly honest with you, mate, I mean, this is where we're going with this. They're giving you an image of what the Earth looks like from space. How the fuck do you know what the Earth looks like from space?
You know what? I you're right. I don't, but it's consistent with our maps.
It's of what maps wrapped around a ball that they've been using since 1927 and Mercator projection. Same one all the time, right? Now they've been using it since 1927, but now we've got lots of satellites that are measuring the Earth all of a sudden. But we knew what it looked like in its dimensions then.
But not only do we have these. Not only are they saying that there are satellites in the sky, but we also I have an app on my phone. It's called Satellite AR, and when I'm out in a clear night, I check potentially visible objects, and it shows you which satellite it is, and it shows you the path, and lo and behold, it passes overhead, and there's an astrophotographer called Thierry Legault who actually has imaged these satellites from Earth. And I mean, unless he's in a conspiracy, how was he able to take those images?
Like I said, no one's denying they can put things in the sky.
Right,
so he's taken an image of something in the sky.
Right. But you realise how fast these things are going, and there's no plane on Earth that can match those speeds.
How fast are they going, and how far away they're supposed to be?
Pictures of them, does he, while they're going that fast?
I think I've
how's
seen
he lock
two of
onto
them.
him?
Sorry, Bev.
How's he lock onto them when they're travelling that fast?
Well, I don't know the answer to that, but I suppose he uses some sort of tracking device on his telescope that tracks these things, which
satellites.
Right, but the ISS, right? They can do it with the ISS. So why can't they do it with another satellite? But they can.
I'm sure I've watched the video of a guy saying you get it moves that fast you can't track it.
Right, I'd like to see that.
You have to do it by hand because it just goes that fast.
Okay, Thierry Legault.
I'd like to see it, but I don't know where it is.
Right, I'll get Thierry Legault's website up, and Thierry Legault actually took a picture of the ISS during a spacewalk, and he actually captured the astronaut.
ISS again?
Yeah, he captured an astronaut and an EVA.
Where is it again?
I'll get it in a sec.
No.
I think
thing you're talking about, that ISS thing. Where is it?
I remember
it's in orbit.
I remember this conversation for a couple of weeks ago, and I think Mark Taylor dropped some of these images. There was a couple of images of some satellites, or supposed satellites. There was an image of the space shuttle docked with the International Space Station, I believe. Something like that.
Yep, the space shuttle docking with the ISS. That's correct.
Yeah.
So we have a space shuttle launch, right? And it's scheduled to dock with the ISS. There's an EVA scheduled, right? Now, Thierry Legault knows this. He knows where to point his equipment, and he takes a snapshot of it. And lo and behold, it captures the docking of the space shuttle, and lo and behold, it captures the astronaut in the EVA. I'll get the images.
Mike's
Let me get them
again, Chris. That's bad.
Right. Okay. Let me
I jumped out for a bit. Microphone was going off. Did everyone fall off the edge? Yep.
I didn't fall, I jumped.
Oh, you jumped off the edge. Don't jump off the edge. You walked all that way. How's your face?
Painful.
Is it really? You don't sound that happy, if I'm honest. I won't make you talk too much, sorry.
Okay, thanks.
Okay.
So I was about to type this, but now I'll read it since there is some airspace. So far, there are surveyors in this server, engineers, builders, radio amateurs, and even an astrophysicist. That's what I heard. I heard, what was it, AI Overlord said about this. I mentioned this yesterday, right?
Mm-hmm.
And all these, they come here and they argue. We all agree that the ball is nonsense. It's impossible to have a spinning ball Earth that orbits a perpetual nuclear fusion reaction, lost some impossible distance away, so far that it appears to be infinite, with air magically coating this delicate planet that we live on, right? And all of these people, surveyors, engineers, radio amateurs, builders, construction workers, and even an astrophysicist argue this. And who argues in favor of the ball Earth? Who does that? Zanuck, the pilot. Arsim Feisty, the pilot. Some other guy, the pilot. Where is someone that really believes that they live on a globe because they honestly believe they have proof for it? They can prove it. They can see it. Can someone say that? Okay, I saw it, right? I saw it, and even Mr. Scott Veach, who has said publicly that his father was connected to the United States space program or something similar. Even him doesn't argue directly, and he's repeatedly typed and spoken in a way that demonstrates that he's way more open-minded than the average globe defender, right? So at least he's honest enough to say, I don't know, when he doesn't know. Maybe he will speculate and ramble a bit. I haven't spoken too much with him, to be honest. But I mean, where is someone to defend this ball in like a serious way? Like at least, say 2 or 3 coherent sentences without contradicting themselves, or without starting calling other people names, or divining our motives and saying you don't understand and you're here because you want attention. But all I did was state that this so-called curved Earth has no curve to be found, right? And this spinning Earth has no spinning to be found or measured. So where is the globe head to defend the globe? Where are you, globe head?
Let's wake up, Les. We're all deafened. Oh, apart from Liu. Hello, Liu. You've been VC verified. I don't recognise your name. Welcome to the Discord server, buddy. Got control of your microphone, so you can feel free to speak whenever you want. Redman's in the house. Chris, are you back? I think Chris isn't back. Right. Yeah, I don't know where the drivers are. I haven't got a clue.
Yeah.
Two of them are deafened.
Has Chris come back with or is it just he wanted to show us them pictures? Did he?
No, Chris just kind of stopped halfway through with what he was saying.
Okay, I'm back.
All right, there he is.
All right. So like, just first of all, this whole come back, Globe, right? There's no need for that. You know, like I like a lot of guys here, and you know we got on quite well, and you know
Chris,
I'm just here.
Chris, you're one of my favourite people. You're one of my favourite people of podcast.
Thank you, mate. I like you too, bud. Right. Just give me 2 seconds.
Yeah. No worries. Playing away.
I was wondering what these pictures that he's brought were meant to prove.
Yeah. Because he's got images.
2 seconds.
You've got some nice images there, but I mean, what are they to prove? Like, have you got times and dates of angles and all of that sort of stuff when you took them?
Sorry, Leo's just asked me a question. Do I believe flat Earth? Do I believe flat Earth?
Well, what did
Flat Earth saying something to me? Yeah, exactly. What's Flat Earth saying?
If he said that the water level is level, I'd agree.
I'd
believe him.
Yeah. I haven't got a flat Earth model meme. Sorry, Tap.
Sorry, you have a flat Earth model?
No, we don't have a flat Earth model.
That's a bit of a problem, right?
Some things don't need models, Chris.
Here we go.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of do, but
let's go. What predictions do you want to make?
You kind of do. Says exactly who, Chris?
Well, me. I see.
So according to you,
dude.
So according to you,
attitude, Brad, I'm just here for.
Okay, well, I'm just making sure everyone understands this. That according to you, we need a model. Okay, great. So according to Chris.
Yeah, man. Look, just dude, calm down. I'm not your enemy. I'm not, I'm just here for a polite conversation. That's all.
Well, I just want to point out your stupidity. That's okay. So as long as you're here, I can just point that out. That's all I was doing. So just calm down.
Guys,
it's okay.
Can you tell him to, rein this in?
Come on, guys. Yeah, come on, guys. I want to keep the conversation going. So point for point, let's go for the argument and not the man. Let's go.
So I'll tell you why I believe you need a model, right? Right. Now, a lot of flat earthers accept that the globe model works, and it works perfectly, right? So, in order to convince people that they are...
A lot of who do what?
A lot of flat earthers accept that our globe model works perfectly.
Did we have a survey? Because I don't think I was in that survey.
I'll rephrase. A lot of flat earthers with whom I have spoke accept that the globe model works.
Really?
Well, perfectly in all instances, all the time, always.
You know what? I will not go that far.
All right then.
Right. So here's the reason I think flat earthers need a model. In order to convince people that the flat Earth is true, you have to present a model that works, right? That works for equinox, that works for South Celestial Pole, and I'm going to bring up one of the major problems here, right? So because I'm not going to say all flat earthers, but a lot of flat earthers think that the sun and the moon circle above the Earth. If that was the case, then we should see different sides of the moon as it circles overhead.
No, it means.
No. Quite the opposite. We should see more phases of the moon in a globe model.
We should see more phases of the moon. Right, okay, but I want to address this first, right? So, if the moon is circling overhead, not only should we see different sides of it, but we should see different phases for different parts of the world. I'm going to get the little GIF that demonstrates this. What I'm talking.
Presupposing what we should see on the model that you haven't seen because we don't have one.
I like that. I'll give you that.
It's true because we haven't got a model. So what you're doing is comparing it to a model we ain't got.
No. What
How
I'm
can you
saying,
compare it to a model we ain't got?
what I'm saying is, if the moon's circling overhead, right, then different countries should see different sides and phases of the moon. Now, this isn't based necessarily.
They see what they see.
Yeah, that's
Right, but
that's exactly what I see.
I'm going to show you why if I can find a little GIF.
Does that GIF assume
I
around
think that has to do more with issuing your model because if in Australia, I'm in Texas and I'm seeing the moon, say it's a full moon, I'm looking at it straight ahead, and I can see, let's say, the full moon. Australia should see a different side of it.
Right. I mean,
Right,
if you see,
I've got to point this out before we look at this video. If we're gonna, Chris, what you're doing is you're building a straw man. So we haven't got a model. So you've made one, applied your logic to it, slowed it down like a straw man, and gone, ta-da, your flat Earth don't work because of the straw man model. You haven't got a model, so why are you comparing it to a model?
Okay, I'll tell you why this is not a straw man and why that GIF that I posted there is not a model, right? So now, correct me if I'm wrong, but on a flat Earth, the sun and the moon circle overhead, correct?
The sun and the moon pass from east to west.
Right. I mean, so it circles overhead.
Passes from east to west.
That GIF shows a round moon. I don't think
Okay.
flat earthers think the moon looks like.
Okay, I'll address the flat versus.
I don't even have a clue what it is.
Okay, right.
See, there you go.
Right. Okay. Let me first address why. Right. So the moon goes from east to west. Does it go in a straight line?
It goes in the path that it goes. Sometimes it seems to be up.
Right.
Sometimes it appears to be straight, depending on your location when you're observing the sun.
The moon. We'll stick with the moon. Right. You think that the moon goes in a straight line?
I see the moon passing overhead. It appears to go in a slightly curved arc, but primarily it goes from east to west, right?
Right.
That's what we observe.
Locally.
It passes across the sky.
Right. Locally, but we're talking locally here.
Seems to arc.
Right. For your local area, but I'm talking globally. Well, planarly.
I don't know what it looks like.
Right,
How would
right.
I know what it looks like? I can only view it from my location.
Correct. But it has to. The whole world sees the moon, right? So it can't go in a straight line because, or an arc, because it would come to the end of its arc, and what does it do then? Transport back to its original position? I think not.
I have no idea.
So,
You say that, but there's literally.
Sorry, I've got a
There are
visitor.
literally flat earthers who think the moon does like a Pac-Man level thing, where when it
Guys, I'm
reaches
sorry,
one
I've got
side,
visitors.
it appears on
I'll
the
be
other.
back shortly.
No worries. Yeah, there are flat earthers out there that think that the moon does the Pac-Man thing. Go on, buddy, carry on. What was that your point? Okay, cool.
I was saying the other day that it's been a while since gravity's been mentioned. Well, Nick has come out today full on gravity force. It's like the gravity is coming back as a force to hold in the gas pressure. So be prepared.
What gas pressure?
It's coming back again.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah.
God.
Gravity's making
Stop
it come
flare.
back. He
Flares are
seems
coming back.
unaware that the icon didn't go out there with any gravity measuring devices on it. It's a bit.
I'm just reading through it. It's really funny. Oh god.
And that's Chris as well underneath there, underneath Nick. Our flatty. Why do you feel a force is not sufficient to contain a gas? A not force. I've been having to bring out the George Musa meme.
Oh, have you?
Yeah, I haven't had it for a while. But, I mean, yeah, he's coming back out again. And I honestly thought that was the death of gravity. Right there.
It's not. It's a dead horse, mate.
Yeah.
And they come out and they flog it every day. Try and sell us this parrot. I mean, this parrot is dead, right? He's not alive.
Yeah.
His gravity is dead.
It's only talked about on Discord and Twitter back rooms now.
Yeah.
Question for this George Muster. So, is this supposed to be some media persona that is?
Oh, do you not know who George Musa is? He's like an astrophysicist, and he writes articles for, I don't know, like some proper like astrophysics magazine and all of that. And he, Fight the Flat Earth had him over for an interview.
Exactly, that's where I was going with this question. I mean, some seasoned astrophysicist that is supposed to be, expressing the consensus of, the white robe scientist community or whatever in astrophysics, who is supposed to be, declaring what the current state of affairs in astronomy and astrophysics is. That kind of man just goes to be interviewed by this FTFE YouTuber, some YouTube channel named Fight the Flat Earth. Did he even bother to watch some of the previous episodes, or did he just go for it? I wonder.
I don't know. I think there was something a bit weird about the whole thing, because after that, Fight the Flat Earth was meant to be doing the equinox, the sticks and shadows thing, and they were measuring it all over. But I think that was with George Musa. I think that was meant to be some sort of a collab type thing that they were all doing for science-wise.
So not only he went for that interview, but he also did some kind of follow-up.
Well, I don't know whether they didn't actually do it.
So who's next? Michio Kaku? And when is Neil deGrasse Tyson going to Fight the Flat Earth channel?
They don't like Neil deGrasse Tyson's gone. He's been derobed or whatever. What's
really?
It called? Excommunicated. Yeah, from the community. Oh yeah. Him and what's his other name? What's the other one? Basically anyone that we've got clips of them saying something against the globe.
Yeah,
gone.
They're out.
No
That's
use.
it. See you later.
No. Yeah, gone. He's like a science communicator or something. Like what is he?
Science communicator.
He's nothing.
Yeah. International ambassador for online stuff.
Neil deGrasse Tyson.
He's just some TV guy. They don't need him. And that Bill Nye guy. Bill Nye's an engineer or something? He's got an engineering degree. He's nothing.
Yeah. He's got a PhD in what? Who?
Neil deGrasse Tyson has a PhD. He's a doctor.
Good for him.
No,
So he's allowed to just come on in. And so the PhD, his proof for gravity is dropping a mic. He's allowed to do that.
No, but you said he doesn't have anything. He does have a PhD.
He's a clown. He's a straight clown show, dude.
What is?
You can call him names if you want, but he still has a degree. You can't say he doesn't.
The ballers have give him up.
Can you hear the question? No one. Can you hear the
No,
question?
Dances, you sound like you're in a tunnel, mate. Your microphone's not as great as it usually is.
Can you hear the question? No one. You said that Neil deGrasse Tyson is a doctor. So, question for you: what is Neil deGrasse Tyson a doctor of? Did you hear the question? Do you understand it?
Do you understand what a PhD is?
Yes, I do, but evidently you do not. So, what
If
is
you have a PhD, you're a doctor.
a doctor in what?
In what? In what?
I think it's either in astrophysics
It's philosophy.
or
It's philosophy. PhD. PH degree. Philosophy degree.
So you have no idea what the PH in the PhD means, no one. Yet you come here and you profess it and you support Neil deGrasse Tyson like a fool, right?
Crickets.
But he still has a PhD. I don't care what the PH stands for.
Oh my god. Was it?
Oh my god, unbelievable.
How many people have just got like PhDs like honorary? I mean, not David May, Brian May, just got an honorary degree, doctorate, because like he looked at the sky lot and was famous shit. You can get doctorates from anywhere, from any time. Doesn't matter. I mean, have you look through his college reports and his universities and all that type of shit? Not saying he is not saying he isn't who he says he is, but ultimately, how the fuck do you know?
I was just mimicking the ballers' fact that the ones that have dropped him. They're brilliant, and they've got some. He still comes out with some classic stuff.
These people, man.
Yeah, it's them.
His doctorate is in astrophysics.
What's that?
Oh, so he's not a scientist then. Sorry. He just points at the sky and thinks in his head and makes declarations based on presupposed models.
My dad
you're thinking of.
There was an article on the TV yesterday about the satellite that they've got out there that's taking 5,000 pictures a second of the galaxies.
Nothing.
I went, really?
You said a second?
Why would they do that? Nothing changes much.
Yeah, well, that's what they're doing. He said that the mapping it.
Oh, well, fair enough.
Yeah.
They're mapping it. That's good. Just taking lots of pictures and shit.
But like like my dad's telling me this because, he's obviously listening to the flat Earth stuff because he knows that I think it's bullshit. He knows I don't believe in it, but he still feels he has the need to tell me about this stuff. So it must be ticking over in his head, Otherwise he wouldn't bring it up, would he?
No, not at all.
Yeah. But yeah, apparently he was talking about that dude with the three names, what's his name? Tyson. Yeah, he was there. Yeah. And he said he wasn't listening too much about what he said, but he said that he has a team of people that answer questions for him.
Oh my god!
That's what my dad
he delegates
remembered.
thinking.
Yeah, Neil deGrasse Tyson had he didn't remember what his job was or whatever he did, but all he remembered was the fact that he said that he had a team of people that answered a load of questions. So that's his Star Talk thing, isn't it? That's the thing where he just answer questions.
Mm-hmm.
They choose which questions they want to answer.
Yeah, but that's exactly. I mean, this is what they always do, isn't it? And they get in groups of people to ask questions to a panel. I don't know. Let's think of an example. School children talking to people on the ISS. All your questions are vetted. Don't forget to ask for the 700th time how you go to the toilet. Can you see the Earth? Did you always want to be an astronaut?
Yeah. Why is your hair stick up like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be quite. I don't know. They let kids do that sort of stuff, but the teachers believe it as well, don't they? You know, they've got to, otherwise.
Oh, from phone everyone.
Hey, what the fuck? Why'd you go to the dark side?
Because I was dealing with a drunk idiot earlier, and my Sith eyes started
Oh,
showing, so I had to go to the dark side to deal with that shit. So I'll be
you.
back. I'll be back on the light side in a bit. I just need to calm down, de-stress.
He was always on the dark side. No, I'm joking. It's Halloween.
Not technically for 2 more days.
Yeah, there's a bit to my calendar.
Hey, you know what I found out 5 years ago?
I don't know what's that, mate.
That the Earth is flat.
Oh, dear.
Yeah, I kind of haven't been able to listen to you guys bicker at each other today. I kind of had to. I was out of Wi-Fi range, so I had to listen to music.
Oh man, you missed me called someone a cunt about 7 times.
Oh, god damn it!
Yeah.
Man, that'll be 3 people that I've heard called. Indio was the first one. I forget it was. I think it was. I forget what the second one is. And now you just heard.
Yeah. It was lots of fun. He was an interesting character.
Sorry, but Indios was the best band. Man, sometimes I'll think of that and I'll just burst out giggling. So now you're banned, cunt.
Yeah, I think I remember that. Just some
Yeah,
random guy was like mouthing off to India saying, "Who do you think you are?" And I think there was a big gasp of silence around the entire room because we
yeah,
know
there
who
was.
he is. She started counting down in your head. 3, 2, the band count. 1.
Yeah, grim man, I tell you. Hey, he hasn't been on here for a couple.
He was in here yesterday, actually. I saw him earlier. First time I've seen him
Oh.
around for time, really. Especially in the chat.
Yeah, I'm freaking missing too much because of my side work.
Your side, what? Side work? What do you do on the side?
Yeah.
Hey?
Kind of making a garden for these people that I'm staying.
I thought you were going to say girls got to make a living. So you're making a garden.
A girl's got to make a living. I'm not pretty enough for the coroner, so.
As long as you're out there, mate, looking after yourself and making money. That's the most important thing. Isn't it?
Yuppie.
And then coming in here to smash fibers.
Yeah, we're the Glovers. We're hungry.
Don't feed the Glovers.
Feed the Glober.
Alright, you can have the next one then.
Hey, Jedi.
Yo.
So how did it go with the ISS picture?
What the guy from earlier?
Yeah, Chris.
Yeah. I had a brief look at him, but he's gone and he had friends. We never got really round to discussing it. So hopefully we'll be back soon. We can have a chat about it. But I don't know, man. I mean, this is something that I've always wondered if could possibly exist. And all of a sudden we got images by this. Well, we've got one man who's giving us images. All right, so it's not hard to control information flow if it's just coming from one singular source that you could possibly have control over and make the images up for yourself. So, I mean, we could just start getting rid of it like that, really. Because it's, can you do this yourself? Blah, blah, blah. So, I don't know. Makes you wonder, though.
Yeah, better not run it too hard.
I don't know, man. I mean, they're not great, are they? I've just found them again.
I mean, all this technology we got right now, and we still getting great images. Get out.
Yeah. I just see a lot of shapes. Can't really make anything out apart from the arrows telling me exactly what stuff is.
Right.
I mean, I get it. These things look like satellites, but and what?
Hey Jedi, when I look into the distance at a certain object, how come I can't see the last 4 feet? Because that last 4 feet's really important.
Yeah. So that's because the Earth that you live on is a ball, and the only reason that you can explain not seeing the bottoms of things is because the surface of the Earth is curving down.
Okay.
No
The
problem.
luminiferous ether is covered.
I knew he was gonna fight up there. RC feisty.
No, I was just trying to be lighthearted, guys. I said the luminiferous ether is covering.
Trying to pull a lemon on
God
us.
did it.
Only lemon can pull a lemon.
Yeah, don't be
I
bitter.
know. I'm trying as hard as I can. He really is my idol, though.
Yeah, don't be bitter. It's only them.
The anti-disestablishmentarianism of the whole entire universe is filled with I can't.
I forget that. Hey, I wish Lemon would sell T-shirts. I would 100% buy them. Lemon fan. And with one of his classic statements on it about something about the luminiferous ether.
Something about the atheistic view and how that you can get that into an argument about light refraction. That'd be awesome.
And it has to include the words Copernicanism and something else. And like, I'm not even making fun of it. I actually love listening to the guy.
So do I. Lemon is brilliant. He's one of those people that you have to pay attention to what he's saying. So the next time he says something, you've got a better idea of what he said in the first place.
I know.
It's a learning curve for him. Wouldn't have many other ways. Brilliant.
Well, I didn't even notice that Runs with Scissors was fucking tap dances. I thought it was just some retard.
Maybe I can make an extra $1,000 a month, and like I could get all the like flat Earth Jediism and tap dances with foolisms and lemonisms, and put them on a T-shirt and sell them on the server.
I was actually going to change my name the other day to Fe Jedi. You're incorrect. Just for fun.
Yeah. That'd be good.
Yeah, but Jedi, we all know what your catchphrase is.
What is it?
Hold on.
Yeah. Fucking hold on, man.
I need to say this. Hold on. or I will forget it and never come back to my mind.
You want to talk to me whilst I'm thinking about the shit, because in 2 seconds' time, I'd have forgotten about it.
While you're thinking of it, I would just have RC Meisty incorrect.
Mm-hmm.
That's my only quote.
With a big fat globe beside it.
Big fat globe what?
Beside the incorrect.
Incorrect big fat globe. I love it.
Oh no, I take that back. Put not meant for educational purposes.
I like it. That's good. We should make up a tag about that.
Dude, a flat Earth pop-up book?
Hold on, what?
That sounds really weird, to be fair.
We've still got mountains and shit. The paper's flat. We're alright. Okay. Unless you want to give me a global pop-up book. I want to see that one. That'd be cool. Balls everywhere.
You know, today when I was doing the garden, I got to a point where I needed to pack the dirt a little bit so I could walk on it. You guys know what the machine is called that I use to pack the dirt with?
A packer?
A camper?
A flat packer.
A flat packer. Nice. You've been flat packed.
That's right. As
How
soon
does
as I
it account for the
packed
curve
my
of the
hand, I
Earth
was like,
when
oh
you're
my God.
leveling when you're packing
Just
your?
thinking the same runs with scissors. Okay. Yeah, you got to level that curve.
Like a fudge packer.
Hey, did you guys know that the shovel was a groundbreaking invention?
The shovel.
I think it was a. I think you're talking about the spade, right? That was a ground cutting invention, cutting edge technology.
Yeah, and then the diamond blade was cutting edge technology.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't make me laugh too much, please.
I'm sorry.
No, let's make her laugh.
Globe, 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 globe.
Just make her
Globe,
angry.
globe, globe your boat gently down the stream.
The water's bending, we are spinning. Life is but a dream.
Yeah, good one.
See, that's the first flat Earth pop-up book song.
There we go.
Can it end with a famous Nathan Oakley quote?
Yeah, sure.
What's your guys' favorite Nathan Oakley quote?
RC Meisty, you're a fucktard.
That is
Planet
actually
Keep
one of my
Liver an
favorites
idiot.
too. That's one of my favorites too.
You bloody moron!
I think it's I think it's
Utter. What was
F-tard,
it?
yeah, F-tard or was it fundamental religious zealot? That's my favorite.
Yeah, to be fair, that is probably something that stuck in my head.
Yeah, definitely.
When he calls me a fundamental religious zealot. So if it's a children's book, believe in the flat Earth, you fundamental religious zealot.
It's quite funny as well when I've gone back and watched a couple of shows that I know that people that I've spoken to that have come in here have been in. And it's interesting to note the conversations that Nathan and people on the panel have and we have with you guys here. It's literally exactly the same thing. It's really no different at all. It's hilarious. Sometimes it's word for word. It's crazy. Like Zanik's probably one of these good people that does that kind of Groundhog Day, goes around, repeats arguments and stuff. But I guess that's probably half of the course, being subjects very, ball, spin, space. gravity, and we talk about a certain amount of subjects. And still think orange.
Dude, I did listen in earlier on today. It was like around, I think, noon, and I heard fucking Fraud in here, man. And he was just doing that freaking laugh, man. Fucking man, I couldn't stop fucking laughing.
So now you bring that up.
You know, he only does that when somebody has sent something absolutely ridiculous.
Like the Earth is a
Yeah, that's the one.
Have you seen that in the chat there with the gas guy?
Hold on.
Gas expansion limits as part of conservation of internal energy means gas contains itself.
Right, so these particles that are flying apart in all directions are now pulling each other together from all directions.
Yeah.
They won't let go of each other, these gases, without a bond.
I think NASA has this plan as well. If they claim everything, then they've got to eventually be right sometime, haven't they? So they just claim all sorts of things and just throw everything in there.
Yeah, I mean, there's probably a lot of double speak in the things that they say as well. Kind of half truths, maybe, I don't know. Who knows, man?
I think they're always trying to scramble for some sort of a reason to defend the basic stuff that's knowledged and seen by everyone.
Yeah. You need to come up with plausible deniability for the things that would obviously happen within the paradigm that they're given it.
You go, oh, hey, look at this, I seen this today. And they'll go, well, did you actually see that? Oh, I don't think you did. Well, you did agree with me. Did I?
Yeah.
I didn't notice that. They're getting clever with the way they talk.
Oh, they have to. They have to try and trip you over your words and shit, because they can't prove that ball that spins in a vacuum.
Oh, he's just being pedantic, picking me up on my words.
Really is.
And then
Really
when you go, like, well, you can't use semantics.
You can't use words. Fuck.
You probably won't be using the correct meaning of the word. That'll be it. You don't understand the real meaning of this word.
Oh, Red Man, you getting a new camera?
Yeah, pretty soon. That's what I'm thinking about getting next. I can see tomorrow in my house.
Dude, you're low. I've not turned you down, have I? No.
What I'm gonna do is when I get it, I take this camera itself. It'll last up to 45 days off of 4 AA batteries, and you can time lapse 45 close to 45 days.
That'd be awesome, man.
Ah, yeah. That's the plan.
You got your head in the pillow there, buddy. You don't muffle that.
This is bad, Mike. Sorry. Give me just a second.
Where did RC5C zip off to?
Who's Pope Pacifist? Did y'all see that? Y'all see that shit? Pope Pacifist the first. Who the fuck? That is a funny name.
That a little bit better.
Yeah, man, loads better.
Yeah, I was on that Bluetooth.
Ah, okay, yeah, it was definitely cutting out. Much better now.
No, but what I was saying was, if I get that camera, it'll last 45 days straight.
Really? 45 days? Fucking hell.
Off
Whoa.
4 double A's. It's supposed to last up to 45 days. Time.
God.
It's actually pretty incredible.
So we'll see what a North Star stay at if it runs 45 days.
Yeah. I can imagine every day you're going to be bringing stuff in there.
Yes.
Hey, what camera are you talking about, if you don't mind me asking?
I'll post it up there.
Okay, yeah. Thanks, man. I've been seeing advertisements for this. Can anyone else hear that frog?
I'll tell you what I learnt today. Do you know the speed of an air molecule?
Speed of an air molecule?
Yeah. You know when they talk about like gas pressure, right?
Right, okay.
The
Yeah.
pressure is the force that the molecule exerts upon the container, isn't it? You know, so
yep.
That's what the pressure is. So what about these molecules? How fast do you reckon they're going?
Escape velocity.
I don't know.
Yeah. I was watching Anthony Riley today, and he brought it up, but it's in the live stream there now.
Oh, okay.
About 511 meters per second.
What?
Yeah.
511 meters. 500 a second.
Yeah.
That's just a root mean square velocity, right? It's not even a real thing. Even if someone buys this model that is very representative of reality and assumes that ultimately, if you break gas down somehow, you end up with individual little particles of particular kind that are like elastic balls that bounce upon each other without losing energy and all of that. Even if you accept that, still, that number is just an indication of what's going on. And without even drifting a little bit away of this model or this paradigm, you easily end up with lots of those atoms or molecules or particles actually having speed much larger than this one.
Yeah,
it's a train wreck.
It isn't, is it? That was the point I was going to get to. It was like when you actually break their numbers down and go with what they're talking about and all that. It's ridiculous to start off with. I mean, how do you even possibly have a pressure gradient if the molecules are doing that in a dead straight line until they hit something and then bounce off it? Because that's what they're supposedly doing.
Well,
can't be, can it? You know, there's that's obviously not what's going on.
No. No. No, that's obviously not what's going on at all. If it does.
So, but I mean, when they're saying, "Oh well, yeah, you know, like the gravity what stops that?" Come on.
No, it doesn't. Bending of a conceptual medium stops that. Time dilation stops that.
Holds it in a spherical thing around a solid object floating in a vacuum. Oh, come on, people.
Yes, because that would mean that if the root mean square velocity, or which is some type of average or mean velocity, is what is it, more than 500 meters per second?
Yeah, 500. It's like room temperature air.
Right? Room temperature, right? So that is not on the top of the atmosphere, out in the thermosphere, where the full impact of the solar radiation is felt, like gamma rays and X-rays and infrared and ultraviolet and cosmic radiation and solar wind and energetic particles and all of that, right? And that's just in room temperature. So in room temperature, that means that there is at least 10 or maybe 5% of this that has twice that velocity. That is at 1,000 meters per second. Not all of them are, but some will be. That's the maths is reality. So if maths is reality, then it means that a percentage of those is going to have twice that speed. And an even smaller percentage is going to have 4 times that speed. It's a complete train wreck. Doesn't work.
Oh, let's get this one. This isn't a good one. Chris. Why do you feel a force of nature is insufficient to keep a gas in a volume without a container?
Force of nature. Can you demonstrate this force of nature? I don't know anymore.
But I think these people aren't. They think it's a serious argument that they're having.
Yeah.
They just don't understand. Like, it's hard to say, but they call Dunning-Kruger. But I would have to say they were calling that because they don't understand what it is.
Yeah.
They built a very solid mental image in their minds, right? In the globehead mind, you envision those particles being like tiny tennis balls that bounce off each other and kind of, orbit the Earth, I guess. So they would have to think that if one of them bounces too hard, but it's still under 11. What is it? 11 point. How much is it? 6 miles a second anyway, which is 6 or 7 miles a second, which is the escape velocity. Calculated by mathematics if you accept gravity and you use all those constants and such. So they have to imagine that only one of those tennis balls that gets hit and ends up having a speed that is higher than 6 miles a second escapes the Earth, and all the others will, make a big orbit and then eventually come down again, like gas falling back to the Earth, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, I suppose, yeah. I've got a clip of some scientist that was talking about the Kuiper Belt, and they say like, oh, it's just a load of floating rocks, but eventually one of them might fall. So like one of these rocks that are floating in the Kuiper Belt falls, but it gets faster and faster as it goes towards the sun because of the sun's gravity. But it doesn't actually go into the sun. It goes around the sun in like an elliptical path and gets shot back off again in an orbit for some reason. But that's so. I suppose that's them sort of laying the formula in your head that it's possible for these things to go on a path where the line's nearly straight, but it can get to a slow stop and then eventually come back again. Because that's the orbit type thing, isn't it? And I think if you can believe that, then you can... it's not too great a stretch to believe that like a particle, a gas air particle, can go up there and get pulled back down again. I mean, it's within the model, isn't it, that sort of thing can happen. But I mean, I don't understand how they can have different, like they do say the Project Loon thing at the minute that I've hooked up on, that they are Google are sending balloons up into the atmosphere, but they say within that thing, as the balloons, they can position these balloons wherever they want by just moving them up through the different layers for the winds.
Yeah, up and down. I just read that.
So that's clever, that, isn't it? So they know there are layers of different atmospheric wind patterns that they can use and manipulate the positioning of things. That only works on planar things to me. It doesn't work on spheres. The fluids of the place we live go into an equilibrium, normally of different density layers. But I suppose you could say, have you ever seen a river flowing downstream, and where there's like that you can see underneath the river, where there's funnels and ginnels and like big rocks or whatever, they cause eddies and swirls with it. You can imagine that this sort of air is similar sort of medium, but just a different way. So as the fluids are moving around or whatever, they are funneling in and out of paths and going on the terrain. So there's dips and dives, and then the sun comes and that sort of lights up different areas and warms them up, and that that lifts gases and drops the. So it's like it's a dynamic system where everything's all flowing about and moving around as it does. So it's quite easy for you to believe that, but I can't understand how the winds all change in different layers. If you know, if their model, like we've just explained with the particles shooting up there,
Yeah,
that
there's a huge
can't
problem.
work in different layers, can it? You know.
No.
So
No.
there's got to be lots of stuff that they are not actually telling us.
Yeah. Especially where the sky, where we can't go, and doesn't seem that interesting really, because it's the sky, right? Even here, like aeroplane altitude, you know, low gas pressures, but are they really telling us everything? And do they even understand everything? I mean, I've only recently discovered the electric phenomena that was, you know, elves and sprites, and I haven't seen them that often. They do exist, but I still don't know what they are, how they are formed, or any of these electro phenomena that seem to go above the cloud layer. So yeah, they don't know everything. We think everything's settled, don't we? Even outside of kind of like the flat Earth, globe Earth argument, you know, like just the atmosphere. Do they know? And if they do, are they telling us the whole truth? We really shouldn't be so confident that these people know anything that they claim, or that they're telling the truth about anything.
Yeah,
Can you imagine the things that? Sorry, go ahead.
No, you go.
I was just gonna say, can you imagine the things that could be accomplished or invented if, you know, things weren't suppressed, or if we actually knew how things.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sorry, hopefully I didn't interrupt your thought process there.
You're all right.
That doesn't take much.
You're right, babe. Oh.
How is everybody today?
Hi, Becky. How are you?
Morning.
I'm going well. How are you guys going?
Yeah, we're all good, thank you, mate. It's good to hear your voice.
Oh, that's
Incredible.
good.
Been
Yeah,
one
I
of
just
those
checked in
days,
a new person.
Oh, lovely. Are
It's
they
really
in here
good.
now?
Yeah. I don't know if she might want to listen for a while before she jumps into any kind of discussions, but yeah, welcome to Free Spirit. That's her
Welcome, Free Spirit.
username.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, welcome, Free Spirit.
Yep,
Thanks.
I know her on another server. She's a really great person.
Yeah, cool.
Thanks, SEO. Appreciate it.
We've got a mutual friend too, I discovered in check-in. It's funny how small this world really is.
Yes,
The Discord world.
Well, the part that we are fenced in is surely small, isn't it? Who knows what's beyond them?
That's it. All the mysteries.
What brings you to our Discord server then, Free Spirit? If you don't mind me asking.
Sorry. What did you say? I'm sorry.
I said, I
finishing.
just asked what brought you to our Discord server. Obviously, the Flat Earth argument. Just thought I'd ask you what brought you here.
What brought me here? Well, I've heard about the server. I just have never received an invite. I don't know if I think that maybe Chris just didn't Ragamuffin just probably didn't think. I don't know. He never really asked me my thoughts on anything, so I guess maybe that's why I was never invited by him. I've known him for about a year.
Okay.
We met through Global Witness server, and then we all have our own servers and stemmed off.
Has
to-
Global Witness got their own server? That dude from YouTube.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Does he have many people on there?
Yeah, quite a bit actually, but I don't go on there anymore. I made my own server from there and just.
I used to go onto his YouTube live stream to try and help people in the live stream, and just let them know who Jesus is and stuff like that, because he's got some pretty strange doctrines.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, he talks about Christ, doesn't he?
Yeah, sure, but don't they all?
Yeah. Yeah, everybody's kind of got their own.
You got to put the catchphrase in there, JC.
Yep.
They're the dudes that went out to do that ceremony in the wilderness on a Indian reservation and got kicked off.
Actually,
do you remember that?
Yeah, actually, I know Derek's mother personally. I don't know Derek. I know his mother.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a bit of a twist to that whole thing. There was a woman that was crazy over him and caused a bunch of problems. So there's a bit of a twist to that whole thing.
Bit of a backstory.
Yeah, and there was a medicine man that had passed away, and they were doing the services, and the daughter of the medicine man who she allowed them on the property to talk and visit and find out about the Hopis and stuff, and just kind of research, because they presumably survived 11 catastrophic events. So that's what the whole trip to visit was. And this crazy woman had kind of put a bit of a twist on it, so they couldn't get the remains from the medicine man. It just turned into a big thing, and so yeah.
I mean, he that man, he troubles my spirit, the way that he speaks, the way that he witnesses, the way that he testifies. I mean, that's the only, honest to God, the only reason I was ever on his live stream was to try and help other people in the live stream, because his message is it's just, I don't think it's very biblical at all, I'm sorry to say. And the way that he represents Jesus, I remember him saying something like, Jesus doesn't want to, Jesus is busy, he doesn't have time to speak to you, and all these sort of things. And I was just horrified, because Jesus has all the time in the world to speak to us. Yeah, that was the kind of YouTubes he was bringing out. But I mean, I've been very polite on his YouTube, because if you don't, and you give them too much what's the word?
They I noticed
you get removed immediately.
I put a nice comment in once, and I was put in a timeout, and that's when I was like, "What is this?" I was like, "I was just being kind," and they put me in a timeout like a kid. I was like, "That's it for me. I'm out of here."
Yeah, because I think they have a certain doctrine.
Yeah. See, I don't know him too well. I know his mother, and she's totally not that.
Is she a Christian?
Yeah, she is. Yeah, she worked with Frank Sinatra back in her day, and different people, and she grew up in California, and yeah, so she's a Christian. She's totally not the same as what he. I don't know. It's weird, but I know her personally, so I don't know him. But that's how I came into that server, and then I left shortly because the moderators are a bit crazy in there, and and then I started to see like the division and all this crap.
There's a lot of division in that community. I mean, a lot of us joined his YouTube channel just to go over there and try and reach the people in the live stream chats, just to gently reach them. And you've got to be so careful with the comments, because if you do anything too forceful, they will strike you out immediately. So it's just a tricky situation. I haven't been over on his YouTube channel for a very, very long time.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm glad that you joined his server, because that brought you to our server. And it's funny, when I joined Discord, I joined for a different YouTuber, Marfugal TV. He started up a Discord. So I joined Discord to go on to Marfugal's server, and then I ended up here.
Yeah, I remember when he did that. I've been on here for a couple years now, but I remember when he did that. I never got in because you have to get in through, it's kind of like private. So I never really got into that. But yeah, I started my own and went on to all these other servers. So it's nice to join this one.
Yeah, it's cool. You meet heaps and heaps of different people here, and every what is it? It's Thursday Eastern Standard Time, 7:30 p.m. We go down into the religion room and just do a Bible study fellowship. So if you're ever keen, that's where we are on Thursday, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. It's usually nice. Sometimes it gets really out of control and we end up getting into huge debates about stuff, but that's just the way it rolls,
Yeah.
It's a touchy subject.
It sure is. Yeah, especially today.
Does Chris still have his server, do you know?
He deleted it and I guess he started a new one. There was a bit of some crazy guy was on there talking about people going to hell and all this stuff, and I left. I was like, if you don't get, like, he was just being very mean to people. And I think that guy comes from Global Witness, which is kind of ironic. But yeah, so but I think he started.
Well, I've met some really nasty Christians on the internet, and they even judge me, their sister in Christ, and condemn me to hell. So I'm used to that.
Yep.
Some wild people around.
It's amazing how people can be so judgy.
It is, especially the ones who call themselves Christians. That's what cracks me up.
Yeah. So judgmental, these people.
You know what? They mostly are. It was crazy. I have family from like my grandparents being pastors and ministers and missionaries, and the most people that judge is mostly Christians. They're so judgmental, and they'll tell you you're doing this wrong because they believe something other than something else. Whatever, they interpret their interpretation of the Bible or whatever. But yeah, it's just pretty weird.
Yeah, because they forget the part that says, do not judge lest ye be judged, and they go straight into the judging part because they've got the knowledge, they're reading the Bible. So all the stuff that the Bible's telling them that they should be taking into their heart, they're taking it out into the world and throwing it in people's faces and judging people and condemning people to hell, which is not the message that we get out of the Bible. Like, the message that we get out of the Bible in the New Testament about the disciples is to go out there and to preach Jesus and to heal people, to love people, to serve people. I mean, they even tell us to, like, if someone slaps our face, like, turn the cheek so they can slap the other. Like, we're not supposed to be out there judging and condemning and striking people down in the name of the Lord. It's just not supposed to be that way.
Yep.
That's why I get into massive arguments with Christians, because a lot of Christians think that we are supposed to be doing that, and they'll bring up, verses like, if someone's doing something, you have to go to them, and if they don't listen, take other people, or, take no part in their fruitless works. And I mean, they've got all the scriptures to back up what they're saying, but the whole point of that Bible is that's for us to read and us to understand ourselves. I mean, those sort of technical information that we're getting out of the Bible is for us. We are supposed to go out and to preach the good news and to preach that there is a way to be saved. I mean, people that just go out and preach hell, I don't get that. I absolutely don't get it. They bypass, like, your savior and go straight to, okay, well, you're doing this, that, and everything else, so therefore you're going to go to hell. But the thing is, we're all destined for hell unless we trust in the Lord and be covered by the blood of Christ, because it's nothing that we can do. I mean, there's nothing I can do to add to the blood of Jesus to get me saved. So no matter how good, no matter how bad I am, it comes down to my faith in Christ. And people don't get that. They don't like that.
Scary for many people. Don't understand why.
I think they got the bloodlust. They want to see punishment. They want to see people, punished and stuff. Like, that's their hearts. If that's what's coming out of their hearts. If they're reading the Bible and they're coming out there and saying to new people, you're going to go to hell instead of Jesus loves you. I mean, that's the message they're getting out of it. That's just telling us what's in their wicked hearts.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
And it's a big responsibility if you want to go out there and talk on behalf of what the Bible says, I think. A lot of people get really upset.
That's a huge responsibility, though, to go and introduce yourself into somebody's life and come with some kind of authority that you're translating from a book. I mean, you've got to take a lot of responsibility in how you impact this person's life.
Yeah, even the Bible says that.
Yeah, exactly.
The responsibility of a teacher or a minister. It's a great responsibility. It shouldn't be, taken on lightly. And even here, like, there's many people that are ministering online, live on YouTube and that sort of thing. That's huge responsibility. It's not a game. So dealing with people's, fate, eternal fate. And I mean, I can tell you that long before I realized there was all these, judgments in the Bible, I believed and I loved Jesus, and I came to him through my faith, not because I was frightened he was going to strike me down or anything like that.
Yep.
You can't force people in fear, that just doesn't work.
Of course not. That's what a tyrant does.
Mm-hmm. And if God gave us free will, who are we to try and take others' free will away? I just don't get that line of thought anymore. Maybe I did when I was younger. I was very judgmental when I was in my early 20s, but then I woke up and grew up and realized, that I was no better than the people that I was judging and walking around thinking they were horrible. Well, I was even worse for thinking that of them. Because we all sin, no matter what our sin is. It doesn't matter. They're all equal. One isn't lesser or greater than the other. It's just across the board.
Simple terms about what is life all about. You grow up, don't you? You learn how to take responsibility, don't you? Learn how to make better choices, right?
That's it. It's all learning. Well, the main message from the Bible, from the New Testament, and that's the age we're living in now, is to love God and to love one another. So I don't see where loving someone is telling them that they're going to hell if they, don't do this or if they don't stop doing that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, there's two messages, isn't there? There's the one that you just said, and the other one is, I'm coming back soon. That's it, isn't it?
Yeah.
Those stories. You're being saved, I'm coming back soon. So when's that?
Yeah.
I don't reckon it's that long. Don't say that. Not that I don't know Jesus. I just don't fully understand the religious, so I don't go down the religious because I don't want straw men attached to me. The spiritual side is very spiritual. I do understand what is going on. So yeah, I don't give us that long, to be honest with you. Not that long. The world's changed dramatically so in the last 20 years. Dramatically so since the turn of the century.
The world's changed so much since I was a little girl. If my grandparents just somehow got morphed back into life today, they would freak out. They would freak out if they saw what was going on, even just in my house with all these devices and all the stuff and the kind of programs that are on television now. I mean, it would freak them out. It's so different.
Of course it is. Absolutely.
Yep.
I mean, in my day when I was a young girl, before 8:30 p.m. at night, you would never even hear a swear word on television. And the F word, when I was a little girl, was not on. It wasn't allowed on Australian television whatsoever. Like, it was, I think the first time I ever heard it was like on a foreign SBS channel. Like, it was on the SBS channel, on some foreign program late at night. You know what I mean? Like, they used to. It used to just be a different place, a different society, different morals, everything.
Did everything? You're roughly the same age as me. Did everything in Australia get a little bit more risky when the 90s came along?
Yes.
That kind of that language barrier started to be lowered a little bit, and everyone started to be a little bit more relaxed, and there's a little bit more outlandish behaviour from both sexes now, and female girl power. That type of area I'm talking about. Yeah, I grew up in exactly that type of era as well. So.
Yeah. So it was the turn too. It was such a change from when I was, from when I was, I don't know, how old was I when it really started getting different? Probably when I started high school. I started high school in 1989, and that's when, I started to notice a massive shift in the music, in what was, on the television and that kind of thing.
Yeah, definitely. It was that kind of satellite TV, MTV, pop kid culture, wasn't it?
Yeah, and the first you could, and the big change was the change in the music and the music videos. That really began to change. Like, I remember like the songs that I would listen to in the late 80s compared to, say, the late 90s. I mean, it was a whole different ball game, especially in the videos and what they were putting out for people to see. And nowadays it's like it's literally like soft porn. Music videos is like soft porn now. It's not like it used to be.
Hey, what year is that again, you said, that you noticed the change?
Around really noticed it around, 1989 onwards, it was just a big shift, especially in the music.
Well, you got MTV, right? That came before that. And then right around that time, MTV started not playing music videos. They started playing reality TV shows and spring break shows and that type of stuff,
Yeah.
Drip, drip, drip. That's how they get changed the culture.
And like regular TV shows, like we used to call them serials, like Home and Away or Neighbours, and what they would do. And I started watching Neighbours from the very first time, they broadcast it. And I noticed that like the storylines have changed so dramatically over the last 20 years. Just everything. It's just a completely different world now. And those sort of things like Home and Away, they're part of the agenda. They're to normalise and make people feel okay with the changes that have come in, and it's okay for your 14-year-old girl to go out and have sex with 3 boys on a weekend or whatever they're doing. They just put it through to make it okay because they're doing it, so we should be okay to do it too. Very strange. But that's how propaganda works. Mind control, programming.
They give you the choices, and then at the same time they give you the kind of social impression after a little bit of time that the choices you're making are now okay. Whereas, say, 5 years before, it was kind of not so okay. It's just very slowly over time changing the fashion, what we wear, how we appear to other people, what's important about these materialistic things.
Yep.
And it's not because sex hasn't always been around. Of course, it's always been around while we're frigging here, right? But at the end of the day, it is everywhere in places that are not appropriate. We're talking about little children. It just doesn't need to be there.
Yeah, so like the Obama Library example when they had the transvestite drag queen read to toddlers, literal toddlers. I mean, that was just disturbing. If I had to sit in front of a drag queen reading a children's book, I would be disturbed, and I'm an adult. So how they could put little toddlers in front of that kind of thing, that's just makes me feel ill. It's yucky. Yeah. I mean, children shouldn't be even exposed to that kind of situation at that age. They're so young and pure. They should be learning, things like, learning how to play or sing nursery rhymes or to, whatever. Ew, it's horrible.
Be a kid. But all that stuff comes later. Your body obviously isn't ready for it, and your emotion not ready for it. Just be a kid. Be a kid. That's what you need to do. No responsibilities, just grow up and learn stuff. But yeah. But it's not hard to change these social boundaries, is it? Just keep itching away at them as the
Yep.
years and the governments change, and you think you've got a choice between your right and your left and your red and your blue. But ultimately,
Well,
8 years
yeah.
later, you're still down some path, and it's never in a good direction, is it? Really, primarily, no.
Well, it's the government that has the body over the broadcasting that is supposed to watch, be a watchdog, and they're supposed to govern what's going on the television at what time, etc., etc. So it just lets us know that our government doesn't give a shit about what our kids are saying. And that's the other thing that I've noticed that came in hardcore. And it started when my son was young. They brought in digital television, and when they brought that in, they brought in channels that were 24/7, or no, I think they're like 16 hours a day, and then they close, dedicated to children and children's programming. And this is where they bring in all the stuff about the planets and the globe and gender changes and all that sort of shit they've introduced. And they pump these children's channels 7 days a week with all of these things that they want your children to learn and accept. And what happens is the parents are so tired, they put on the ABC Children's Channel because it's safe, air quotes, and then go about doing their business in the house, and the child is being taught by the ABC Children's Channel all these different things. And we never had that as children. We were never sat in front of a television. When I was a little girl, I think that even in primary school, we had 1 day a week, which was Saturday morning cartoons at that stage, and that was our programming. We didn't have that 7 day a week, 16 hours a day channel dedicated to children's programming. And if we did, we probably would have sat in front of it for far too long, which is what I'm assuming most kids are doing today. So
Well, if it's not that, it's something electronical that they're staring at a screen. If it's not TV, it's a computer game. If it's not that, it's social media.
Yeah, because they've brought the screens. That's right, to the palms of the children's hands, wherever they are, mobile.
Yeah, exactly that.
So they'll just put on Peppa Pig or whoever it is while they're out, and that's how you deal with a child today. In the olden days, you would actually your child would sit at a dinner conversation and would either sit quietly and listen, or they'd contribute or something like that, or they'd all go outside after dinner and run around, on the grass and play touch football or something. But these days, the children are buried in their palm devices and they're missing the whole thing. They don't even learn, proper dinner etiquette because they're too busy glued to a screen. I mean, I get parents want a break from their children. I get that. But it's just different, and it's strange compared to how I was brought up.
Yeah, I completely agree, Becky. And you have to feel sorry for children these days as well, because they're exposed to so much.
Yeah,
so much stuff that we wasn't exposed to like 20 years ago.
Creepy stuff.
Years ago.
That would have disturbed me, definitely would have disturbed me emotionally, mentally, if I had have been exposed to some of the stuff that the kids are today online. I mean, I don't know how many kids online have to come across creepy kind of people when they're playing games and stuff like that. But my son told me, all about it. Like, he would have weird creepers on this game. I think it was called Harbo or something. And
Roblox?
No, it wasn't Roblox. It was called Harbo or something. This was ages ago because he's actually like 16 now. But he said, it was really creepy, and he would report them. He knew what to do and that kind of thing. But, not all kids know what to do. And I just think that's really sad that they have to even deal with that, because when we were kids, we didn't have any of that. The world wasn't in our lounge rooms or in our bedrooms. We weren't given.
It really wasn't, was it? You literally had to go outside to experience the world. Now we got to do sit in front of a screen and you got anything you want.
And you can have any kind of predator come straight into your lounge room or your bedroom. That's right. That's why they need to be taught. Sadly, the world is full of wicked people, and that's a problem, especially when you've got access to the web, because they do too.
Yeah. That's what
I was talking
on them.
Yeah, they do. I was talking to my girlfriend last week, and she's got a young girl that plays a lot of games. Stop it. And she said, oh, it's such a worry. You know, and I said, yeah, I know it's such a worry. And I was telling her about how we have this server here and we get teenagers on here. And I said, well, the good thing is that we can keep an eye on what's going on here. So I would much prefer them hanging out over here than on some of the darker Discord servers that have got some real creepers on there. At least there's some decent people around this joint.
Yeah, that's cool.
Hey Jedi.
Yes, buddy.
Hey, you ever seen this video I just put in live stream?
Give me 10 seconds.
Yeah, but
Donny of Daytona. Yeah, I watch him from time to time. I might have watched this. I'm not too sure. I'll have a look at it. Cheers, buddy. I like anything to do with development. It's really cool.
It's all good.
Has anybody figured out where we are yet? I know where we're not. We're not on the ball that spins with air pressure attached, flying around on a vacuum, stupid speed in many directions.
It's funny, I'm watching this, or I actually have finished watching it, this series on Netflix called The Society, and it's about these teenage kids that get dumped in this place which looks like their home, but nobody's left in the town, and the town is surrounded by thick, dense forest, so they're stuck in there. And then this group of kids starts to take like the lead and starts to control them. And listening to it, it's fascinating, this storyline, because they're basically making up all these lies to tell the other kids, this self-elected government of children, for the best interest of the group. And the power, you can see the power taking over these characters, and the reasoning that they're saying for them lying and withholding information is for the best interest of the group, whereas it's really for the best interest of the smaller group that has the power. And it just reminded me so much of our situation we're in right now, that elite group of people that's been in power and has held the power now for probably thousands of years, and have kept these lies in place for the best interests of the people, air quotes. And the whole being surrounded by the dense forest and them not being able to get out just reminded me of the parallel of us, but possibly being enclosed in some kind of dome. And it was just fascinating to look at the storyline, because it reminds me of how we got to where we are today with the government and that big why would they lie question. There's so many reasons that they could lie, and there's so many reasons that they could introduce people into it that take over that lie and give them whatever reason it is in their mind for why they are maintaining that lie. You know what I mean? There's all sorts of ways to control people emotionally, even the controllers. And I think that the why lie part of this situation that we're stuck in is the main programming that keeps people from realizing that the Earth is indeed flat, and it's not a planet. I mean, that's the one piece of programming that I see that barely gets broken. Barely, because I've had many people come in here and they've received the information that we've given us. It's made sense to them, but they've said, unfortunately, for the fact that I cannot believe that all these world governments are lying, I just can't accept that. That's the other big thing too, that, people suggest that they could be hiding land. I certainly believe they could be hiding land, because that land could be where we need to be standing to be able to physically see the firmament. There could be a place that we could go, that we could observe this. It's not supposed to be a secret. In the Bible, it's spoken about freely. So it's not like God is trying to hide the firmament from us. But what if the government was trying to? What if they did send, explorers out as far south as they could go, and they reached something physical that they could see and touch? What if that actually happened, and then they went back and reported, and then what? The government's decided, well, hang on a minute, we need to sort something out here because we've told everyone that we're, a planet flying in space when obviously we're not, we're enclosed. What do? Well, they stop people from going out there, and they make sure that nobody gets to go there. So if you can't see it, you can't speak about it. And that would coincide with the why do they lie to hide God? Well, if they're lying to hide God, if they're lying to hide land, to hide a firmament, that makes perfect sense to me. I mean, that isn't something that I struggle to think, could they be? That makes perfect sense.
Of course it does. All they've got to do is control our natural limits and tell a story about them. So we already know it's hard to dig down, so that limit's taking care of itself. I have to impart force and energy to go up, and obviously we have to rely on technology to go higher, and especially technology that we can't obtain to get much, much higher than that. But ultimately, the best we can do is go to the top of a building or catch an airplane, right? So it's hard to go up. What else have we got?
Well, I know that if the first people to fake the moon landing were the US, and then if there were other countries, which there were, that went ahead and did the same thing, it makes it very difficult for the governments today in 2019 to turn around and say, our predecessors lied about going to the moon. We actually didn't. We were just trying to, look like we were keeping up with the space race or whatever. I mean, how would you deal with that? Like, if I was thrown into government today to deal with that mess, could I come out to the people and say, hey, guess what? We were all lied to. I just don't see any way that they can do that. I can't see it happening.
Of course not. Where do people get their information from? What this always gets me, the argument of that was brought up earlier about a whistleblower, for example. So what are they going to do? Be broadcast on the evening news at 6 o'clock? Some guys come forward and found out the Earth is flat. We've all been lied to, they say, on the 6 o'clock news. That's not going to happen because they own all the media.
That's right. So that would happen. He'd get out on a very small platforms of alternate media, YouTubers that are either crazy or brave and want these whistleblowers on their show. But I mean, even those channels can be suppressed and can be covered up. And mainly those sort of whistleblowers, they can come out a little bit, but for the most part, they're actually, hiding out and trying to be safe. I mean, a lot of them have to stay on the run too, depending on what they're blowing the whistle on. It's very dangerous. And then you'll find, a lot of the whistleblowers, people will just, it's like that old shoot the messenger. They don't believe them because of the message.
Yeah. Doesn't matter what it is. Scorn and ridicule will be poured upon from all angles because they are literally sitting here waiting for these people to come along, aren't they? I mean, for example, this flat earth environment, right? Whether it's on YouTube, Discord, Facebook, wherever it is on social media. And this environment is a highly trolled and ridiculed one. You can't necessarily trust everybody that you speak to, can you?
No, I'll work that out.
Yeah, exactly. So there are people waiting everywhere. What are these people going to say?
Well, the big thing that I noticed is that the censorship on YouTube is so real. I was trying to share a Eric Dubay. Look, it might have been a glitch on Discord. I don't know, but it wouldn't bring up the thumbnail for Eric Dubay's how the Southern Stars work on a flat Earth. It would just bring up that non-thumbnail. So I thought, all right, I was getting that out of one of the rooms on Discord. I thought I'll go onto YouTube. I'll type the channel name and full title exactly how it is and bring it up in YouTube and then try and share it from there to see if it's a different link. Well, I typed in the video title and the channel name, and it didn't even come up on the first page.
Oh my God!
I had the direct friggin' name of the video and the channel, and it didn't even come up. It just was crazy. It came up with all this other bullshit, all these mainstream stuff, obviously debunking flat Earth. The exact video I wanted that I typed in the name and title didn't even come up on the first page. I didn't even try. I didn't even see how many pages back I had to go to find it. I couldn't believe it. That is real censorship.
It is real censorship, and I love the little bit of fault policing that they do now every time that you are searching for flat Earth. Well, there's two things that I've noticed that they do, apart from what we all know. One is that little kind of the flat Earth model as a archaic conception, and here's your WikiLeak. You get your WikiLink. You get that of every single one. And I noticed this as well.
Oh yeah.
It is every single time a counter to the flat Earth argument. I just get automatically.
Yeah, YouTube's, as we all know, YouTube's a private entity owned by Google, so they can do whatever the hell they want to their platform. So we've noticed all these changes come in. We've noticed that they've somehow, with algorithms, suppressed all the legitimate flat Earth videos. We know now when we do an exact title of the video and channel search, it doesn't even come up in the first page. We know that's ridiculous, of course. We know that when you go into any kind of videos, they're going to push their agenda with, as Jedi said, the Wikipedia link. Same with that when I go onto RT News channel on YouTube, it brings up a kind of even almost a disclaimer warning that that this channel's funded by the Russian government. I mean, it's just crazy. And they've pushed the agenda to make everyone freak out about the Russians too. Like, I mean, I don't know much about the Russians. All I know, with the way that the mainstream blames them for bloody everything, it's got to be something in that to say that they're probably not as bad as what they're making them out to be.
Well, yeah, no, of course, no one ever is, are they?
And how bad are they when I can go and get the real news of the RT, YouTube channel, which is the one that's like funded by the Russian government, or which ones are funded by the American, the Australian governments? You don't find much out on them.
No.
Or I noticed this is what they did too with the Australian media, right? They had to report on Cardinal George Pell. So the first thing they did was, when Cardinal George Pell was found guilty, the courts put a suppression order on the media. They couldn't report the findings that day. They had to wait a month or two. So the day that the order was lifted, all the news outlets pumped the story out, but within a week it was dead and gone and buried.
Bloody hell.
Yeah. So they flooded the news for a couple of days. Then it just got pushed down and buried. But we didn't get the news till months after it happened because the court suppressed it. I mean, it's just insane.
Yeah, gagging orders and things like that.
Yeah, they were there. That's exactly what happened. That was obviously so that the Vatican had more time to prepare for the, what was going to happen.
Of course. It serves a lot of purposes, doesn't it? Gets it directly out of people's minds, and then when it does come along, it's over with as quickly. It's just controlled from all angles, right? Controlled releasing shit. I need to play the games that they play.
Yeah, I just watch it all go down in real time. And I knew about Cardinal George Pell freaking 3 to 4 years ago. I knew what a heinous, creepy paedophile he was, right? So when it all went down, I was like kind of starstruck that he was by the court system, that they actually brought him into court. And when they gave him the worst sentence ever. Like, they found him guilty, but they gave him, for all his pedophilia and covering up over decades and everything he did, they gave him 6 years, I think it was. And then they gave him parole in maybe 3 or maybe less than 3.
He's going to do less than 3 years.
Yeah, absolutely. He'll do less than 3 years for everything that he did, for all the raping and covering up.
He should never be released.
That's the problem with Australia. We seem to protect the predators in Australia. They get short jail sentences and really good prison accommodations and services. It's just insane. I mean, it makes sense that they let it all go ahead, give him a couple of years here in a cushy little private wing. They can have his friends and his church people brought in, I suppose, whenever they want. They can bring in the food and things that he likes, and it's just like, I don't know, home.
It's just, it's just like he's lives in a flat.
Yeah, it's just like he
In an
lives in a
area where
flat
somebody
owner in
wears the
Australia.
uniform has got a bunch of keys. That's about it.
But he's got mad protection, so
Of
no one
course,
can get near.
yeah.
But isn't that funny? And then you look at someone like the narrative of Jeffrey Epstein, one of the most wanted men in the world. We're all wanting to see him go into court. So what happens? They put on a few random guards that aren't used to looking after high-profile prisoners, fall asleep, and then he air quotes kills himself. I like it's just a joke.
Yeah.
People
Yeah.
the system, the governments must think we are so fucking stupid. Of course we know what's going on. We are not stupid. If Jeffrey Epstein had been tried in Australia, he never would have, air quotes, killed himself. He would have done exactly what Cardinal George Pell's doing, enjoyed himself a little unit in Australia for a few years.
Yeah.
They must have harsher sentences in America for that kind of crime.
I don't know. Pretty much the same in England, mate.
Hey, Becky.
Hello, how are you?
Oh, good. I'm curious. Are those birds like your birds inside your house, or are you like outside?
Oh, yep, that's my bird inside my house. That's just a little male canary having a song.
That's just one bird?
Yeah, that's just one little canary. He's only little too. He's got a loud voice, but...
Wow, yeah.
Yeah, I love him. He's canaries are the best pets. They're so easy to look after. They're such great company, and they have such beautiful song. They sing all different tunes.
I like it. It sounds peaceful.
Yeah, it is. It's beautiful, peaceful.
Oh man, whew. What a day!
I mean, with anybody with an intelligent mind, when they see from the outside the flat Earth kind of argument, and the amount of ridicule, scorn, propaganda, media exposure to this type of stuff, you have to realise there's no smoke without fire. Has to be something to it. Why are so many people coming to this idea that the Earth is flat? Surely it's easy to prove that the Earth is a ball, right? Can't they just do that bit?
Well, yeah, I suppose there's all different things in place in the programming. The biggest one, as I said before, is the why lie. But for someone like me, my why lie programming had already been smashed down and broken down severely because I'd been researching such a distressing topic within our governments, in the human trafficking within our governments. So I knew what was going on, and I knew some of the really, really high politicians that were involved. They were literal clients of this service. So when I came across Flat Earth, the programming had already broken down for me. So when I got to the why lie, that was smashed down already. So I'm like, all right, well, why are what are these people claiming? Why are these people claiming that the Earth is flat? Then I got to know one of these people, which was Nathan Thompson. I watched him. He was on my friends list. I was, in his Flat Earth group about this Flat Earth globe discussion. So, I was getting presented by all these different evidences that they were showing, and it was easy for me to make up my mind because I'm a very strong Bible believer. So after seeing this evidence they're presenting to me, they're also stating, hey, the Bible is claiming that the Earth doesn't move, and I'm like, hang on a minute. Is this so? So once I went through and did my homework on the Bible, looked at all the evidences that they were presenting, I wasn't programmed to freak out about it. So I just thought, oh shit, the Earth is flat. No wonder it looks so flat. No wonder I've never seen the curve or understood how we could be working as a globe. And I just was like, wow, there you go. And then I just buzzed off and kept doing my thing. I didn't even realize there was such a serious debate going on. And then when I came into this channel and realized just how serious the debate was and what was at stake and why, it all clicked into me, and I thought, okay, I think these people need me to stick around. So I stayed, but I was already a flat earther. I just wasn't an active, I wasn't activist for flat earth or anything like that.
Yeah.
Whereas nowadays, I suppose I surely am, because I see the seriousness of it.
Of course, it's deadly serious.
And it's a great place to speak to people and reach people on a level that they're not going to freak out on, because the stuff that I was researching and trying to reach people with was so dark and so confronting and terrifying, they would just switch off and run away. Whereas when you're talking about the sun and the stars and the moon and, sunsets and oceans, that's a beautiful topic, and it's not scary. So people can debate, and then you can definitely reach people because they're not triggered through trauma, because the earth isn't scary.
It's much different as well from any other type of conspiracy theory, because the shape of the earth is not an event in history. It's always going to be this. It is what we all experience. We don't all experience conspiracy theories, right?
No.
We've all got a different idea of what happened possibly on 9/11, for example.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Everyone's got an opinion because they like arseholes, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, their
I'm
curve
not
calculator's
surprised
coming
why
undone.
Sorry?
Their curve calculator's coming undone, and the people that are starting to understand how it works. I mean, it's taken me a long time to even understand how to work out this curve calculator, how it all works, where I am, what I'm looking at, everything. And everything's just been clicking into place for me over the be able to see the majority of the buildings in the city that I'm seeing. They should be hidden with over, I think it's 100 meters of curvature or drop.
Mm-hmm.
And there's nothing there. Okay, this is over 78 kilometers. And my elevation is 140 meters. And the elevation that I'm looking at, I think, is 19 meters. Right. So as far as the curve calculator works, when I plug all the correct information is there should be over 100 meters of curvature. So that drop should be so dramatic. The buildings too, I think I can even get the height of the tallest building in the center. Right, we can get that information, so that it completely debunks curvature in this instant for me. And me being born on the Cumberland Plain, 2,750 kilometers squared of mainly flat, like it's a plain. That's how I'm. That's how I'm able to see this shit, because at the base of I'm at the base of the bloody Blue Mountains. So I've got my elevation point, just drive up the hill, get to my spot, and then I look across my flat plain, and I can see all the way to Sydney City in the right atmospheric conditions. And not only me, so many people come to these Blue Mountains and take photographs and upload them online for the city views that you shouldn't be able to see. It's crazy in our faces.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Right in your faces everywhere. All of these flat plains everywhere. Like huge tracts of land that are just like flat plains.
It's crazy. And you know what? And people are waking up. And the more and more people that wake up, just like normal people like me, can do these basic observations once we get our heads around what the hell's going on and prove that there's no curvature in these places. Like over land, we're talking now. We're talking over land. People have done lasers over water, bodies of water. I mean, this is starting to go on all around the world. I don't know what to say. Like, how can these globers still be clinging to the ball when we're showing them, like in like real life where we live, that it's just not so?
I don't know, mate. Makes
It's
me
the
wonder.
programming. The
Yeah,
programming's
well,
not breaking down in those people because they have got it's so strong. And it comes back to the why lie. They laugh as if these government bodies can be lying to us, and it's the main reason that people won't take flat earth seriously, because they are traumatized at the thought that we are all being lied to. It's a traumatic thought.
Yeah.
You see that flat plane that I just posted?
Yeah, that's beautiful.
I would like to go there. That's in my hometown in Atlanta, Georgia.
That's flat.
We could
Locally
almost
flat for you. Locally flat for Becky. Pretty flat round here, to be honest.
we
It's
could
locally
make
flat for everyone.
we could make a world tour with all these destinations of flat Earth planes to visit in the world. We could set it up, and then when
Yeah.
people come to my town, I could take them on a little tour up the hill and show them that we see too far here, and then they could travel somewhere else, and one of our other
Becky, I have
members
a
could take them up their hill. And hey,
Hi, sorry. I have a question. Did they shut down that giant dome rock where hikers can't hike anymore or something?
Ayers Rock.
Uluru.
The big giant red rock in Australia.
Yeah, that's Uluru or Ayers Rock. I haven't heard that they shut it down. What did you hear? They shut it down.
Yeah, they said they're not allowing people to hike up anymore or something.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I wonder if you heard of that or
No, I haven't heard that yet, but wow. I wonder why that is.
they said like a lot of people got hurt or like a couple people died. I don't know what, but they said like it's fully shut down now, so no one can climb the rock. So
Oh, okay, because a few people fell off or whatever. Now
Yeah.
nobody can climb it. What about the old sign, climb at your own risk? Why don't they just put that there and leave people to make their own
that'd be a
choices?
good idea too. Climb at your own risk. If you die, it's not our problem. It's their fault.
But who are they to tell us if we can climb a rock or not, the bastards?
I mean, I can send you a link.
How rude. The government here is disgusting anyway. I hate them. They've just legalized full-term abortion. I'm just disgusted in this government.
What?
Yeah.
Full term of fucking hell, man.
Yeah. I saw it last week or the week before, and it was like my heart just like sank. I thought, you bastards. I knew they'd do it because they do that. They just copy this sort of stuff. It's, I suppose, the agenda, but I just couldn't believe they just did it so soon. I thought, you sickos.
News.
The people choose.
And they
this shit,
legalized marijuana in the ACT for all the politicians, because most of the politicians live in the ACT because that's where Parliament House is. So all the good stuff gets legalized in their territory, but it's kept illegal in ours. It's just stupid. It's so
Fucking
what's
rules
that word?
dependent on location. Fucking annoying, isn't it?
Biased. No, they I don't even know what the word is for what they do, but they make sure that they get the best of everything. They get all the good laws so they can go around and do everything that we can't. So if they get caught, they don't get a record.
I just posted on live stream voice text.
Oh, okay. That's not because of that sounds like it's because that's actually sacred land, and the Aboriginal people have maybe got people to stop doing it. So that's a cultural thing. That's fair enough.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah.
I think, well, just from reading the thumbnail, they might be banning because if someone's had an accident, but it says it's a victory. This is all sacred land for the Aboriginal
so it's not
people.
Just normal. Okay, that makes sense now.
But
if it's on sacred land, and then I could understand that.
Anyway, we've been traipsing all over their property now for hundreds of years.
Yeah.
I'm glad that that's happened. I mean, I don't care. I'm not a hiker anyway. It doesn't matter to me.
Yeah.
And if that's their sacred land, that's their sacred land.
I find that word strange.
Sacred?
No, aboriginal. It's
not Aboriginal.
Not original.
The Koori race, we call them here too. They're Kooris. The Kooris?
Well, every time that they claim that they're through benefits and all that, they're actually putting upon themselves a status that the opposite of what they wish to be, because they're not original. That's what ab means. It's the abnormal means not normal, so aboriginal would be not original. They think that they're the natives and taking the title of through that name as being originals. But we already have that word. It's original. It's the opposite of aboriginal.
Well, you can call them Koris. The Koris. Yeah.
Hey, everyone.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good. Hey, Becky, how are you?
Good, thank you.
Nice to see you.
Yeah, you too. Lovely to see you.
Thank you very much. I just got intrigued by this aboriginal. By the way, it's like English language is full with words like that. For example, delivery is like not being delivered.
That's funny.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, they're using these words in legalism against us. Whether a lot of people have studied and are aware of like the personhood that they've created for ordinary folks, but it's not just Australia. The Canadian government also calls their originals aboriginals. Here in America, we call them tribal or the Indians. So it's not. I don't know anybody here that actually calls them aboriginals, but that's not a unique thing to Australia. Though I've never heard it called Koori.
Oh,
Yeah.
wait, sorry. I thought for a moment you were talking about Native Americans. So, okay, you're talking about Australians. So how is it for them? Is it like what happened to them exactly what happened to the Native Americans?
Yeah, it was shocking. They slaughtered so many of the Australian Aboriginals or the Koris. Oh, and they treated them like animals. They had a law in until the 1950s that the Aboriginals were treated as, fauna, animals. They were animals. They were treated like animals. It was disgusting the way they treated the Aboriginal people here. It was so sad. And they would not let them to go into the pubs. They wouldn't let them go into the movie theatres. They would it was disgusting what they did to the people here. Really bad.
Wow.
Yeah, I personally think the American the way that they moved against the tribal people here was different. It's kind of a myth that we treated them like that because there were multiple tribal nations and they were actually at war with us. And it wasn't as though we just invaded and slaughtered. It was actually a overwhelming force of tribal people against some settlers who were actively at war with them.
Settlers. That's a funny word because you could call them invaders. They were invading these people's native land.
Yeah, but then if you're going to say that, then that's true about every people everywhere in the world at all times.
Mm-hmm. Well, if you're going off to take over somebody else's, another tribe's land, that would be an invasion.
Well,
yeah.
Okay, that may be true, but that's also true of everybody everywhere.
Well,
everywhere is settled through conquest.
The Koris were the native people here. They didn't come here from other places to take over this land. This was their land.
Yeah, exactly. This is how you should think about it. So those people got to Australia before everybody did. So and they lived there. And then you had the Europeans coming to their land. So who invaded who?
Well, it still leaves the question. I would say their treatment is not, delightful at all. But the question is were they really the originals? I mean, even
were they there before the others? Were they the first peoples there on the land?
That's a different question, though. Were they there before somebody else?
It doesn't matter. If they were the first people there and they discovered that land and they were the first people, then that's their place.
I'm saying I don't know if they're the first ones, and you don't know either.
Well, I know that the Aboriginal Australians were the first people here in Australia. They were here for thousands of years. Thousands of years before the white people showed up.